His flamboyance in and out of the ring revitalized the sport of boxing. But by the late 70s, as the greatest lost his luster, a new champion waited in the wings. Larry Holmes emerged as the WBC heavyweight champion in 1978 after a brutal 15-round decision with Ken Norton. Now, 5 years later, he is on the verge of retirement. And another champion, Michael Dokes, who won the WBA heavyweight title with a first-round knockout over Mike Weaver, seeks public recognition. But first, he must get by the man with the bionic fist, Gerrie Coetzee. The WBA's #1 contender has one of the most feared knockout punches in boxing.
Maybe I can't talk as good as I fight, but I can sure promise you I'll fight better than what I talk.
The only way I can see Coetzee would be victorious is to kill me.
Takes on Gerrie Coetzee in the second defense of his WBA title. We're in the heartland of America, the Midwest, the picturesque state of Ohio near the banks of Lake Erie and the city of Cleveland. And if you travel about 70 miles south, you'll come to Akron, Ohio, known as the tire capital of the world. Akron not only manufactures automotive accessories, it also produces champions like Michael Dokes. And halfway between these cities sits the rural town of Richfield, which is the home of a beautiful arena. And we're live from the Coliseum in Richfield, Ohio, where HBO Sports presents World Championship Boxing. The main event, WBA heavyweight champion Michael Dokes defends his crown against the #1 contender, Gerrie Coetzee. We're down the road from the champion's hometown in Akron, and his avid supporters have made the short trip and are ready to rock this beautiful arena with vocal support for their hero. Hello, everybody. I'm Barry Tompkins. What's more, along with Sugar Ray Leonard and Larry Merchant, Coetzee and Dokes, a fight about which there are a number of question marks. Is Michael Dokes coming back too soon from a tough 15-round fight just 4 months ago? How is the right hand of Gerrie Coetzee really? And another big question mark, the stamina of both fighters. Ray Leonard, one thing that is not at all a question mark, we know both these men are going to come out firing at the opening bell.
Well, Barry, it's apparent both men can punch. We might just see a replay of what took place when Dokes stopped Weaver the first encounter.
How do you see this fight going, and what do you think about the fact that Michael Dokes is coming back just 4 months after a tough fight, not unlike your own with Roberto Duran?
Well, the second fight that Michael Dokes had with Mike Weaver was a very physical fight. It took a lot out of Michael Dokes, but Michael Dokes is a young fighter, a very aggressive fighter, and youth is always an advantage.
Well, you know, these two guys might be the original odd couple. For all their differences, they are alike. For all their similarities, they are different. Each can win for a different reason.
He's as quick, he's young, and he's still fresh. He just won the title. He doesn't want to lose it in his second defense. It's going to be difficult. I was always competitive. I always wanted to do a little bit better than what my friends did.
Meet Gerrie Coetzee, a man with many goals. Gerrie Coetzee was born and raised in South Africa, a soft-spoken private family man who as a child was taught to reach for the highest goals. He's been a dental technician, a racehorse owner, and the proprietor of a tire dealership. But Gerrie is best known as a boxer, a career that began with some prodding from the medical profession, of all things.
I had severe asthma, and the doctor recommended that I should take up a sport, and because my father has been a fighter, it took me to the gym.
He took to the gym as though he was born there. With his father by his side, Coetzee racked up 235 amateur and professional fights. Recurrent injuries to his right hand produced a scientific phenomenon.
Since I had my first problem back in '77, I had 15 hand operations. What they've done a fusion right across this way and sideways. It's one solid piece of bone in the hand. And, well, if I was younger, I would have had my left hand being done the same as my right hand, and I would have had two bionic hands.
Well, the difference is that he is a power and a killer, and I'm a speed and I'm a thriller.
Besides a common boxing interest, the only similarities between Coetzee and Dokes are their differences. A 25-year-old flamboyant bachelor, he calls himself Dynamite and credits his mother as being the most influential person in his boxing career. He grew up 10,000 miles from South Africa, in Akron, Ohio, virtually another world when compared to the apartheid homeland of Gerrie Coetzee. At the age of 12, he began his boxing career and excelled as an amateur, along with fellow American teammates Sugar Ray Leonard, Aaron Pryor, and Leon Spinks. Before each fight, he carries a trademark to the ring, different from any other boxer.
I throw roses prior to every fight, a tribute to my mother and also to all the females that come to the fight to patronize the fight. The show is just not a barbaric sport. It's more of an artistic type of thing.
Managed by Don King's son, Carl, Michael has refined his art at King's Boxing Camp in Orwell, Ohio. On December 10th, in a controversial ending, Dokes stopped WBA champion Mike Weaver 63 seconds into the first round of a championship fight. These two men have one thing in common: boxing, and specifically the WBA Heavyweight Championship of the World. While Akron, Ohio is a long way from Boksburg, South Africa, the two corners of the ring produce a common ground. The result of the confrontation depends on how well they know each other, round for round.
Round 13 of Coetzee, Weaver fight. Coetzee is not as effective moving backwards as he is coming forward. Good shot by Weaver. He may have shown me something there. Surprising thing about this fight, Weaver is catching Coetzee with his left jab. Good right hand took him out. The way I would have went about it was probably in the later rounds, just as Weaver did to apply pressure to Coetzee. I don't think he's as devastating a puncher in the later rounds as he is in the earlier rounds.
He's got that idea that he can stop everybody in the first round. Dokes is all over Weaver. He's throwing very quick punches. I don't think it's that powerful. Any heavyweight is a powerful puncher, but the referee is stepping in. It looks like he wants to break the fight. Then he's lifting Dokes' hands, and I don't think Dokes can really believe it. I don't think it was fair that the referee stopped the fight that quick and that Dokes got the fight and taking the title from Weaver that easy.
You can see that in the later rounds that Coetzee's right hand isn't as devastating as it would be in the early rounds. This is round number 10 of Coetzee's most recent fight with Pico and Thomas. I feel another thing that would be good with Coetzee is the overhand right. He looks like he's very vulnerable for overhand right. One thing they always say, a guy that throws the right hand can be caught with the right hand. And this is the key right here with Pinker and Thomas. Thomas showed me the overhand right was very effective in this fight, which I think that is one of my main attributes is my overhand right.
To me, what Dokes is showing me here is that he did tie in the later rounds. That's one of his weak spots I gotta concentrate on. I'm very sure that he never expected this kind of fight from Mike Weaver. Dokes really is just hanging on in this last round, and he hasn't got that hand speed he had in the earlier rounds. They're just both slugging it out. Now I knew I gave Weaver also one hell of a fight. Now I'm training with Americans. My style is changing. So I'm giving myself a better chance than what I had in 1981.
Tonight, it's September 23rd, 1983, and this is the battle for the WBA heavyweight title. The fight is far from over. Back in the race. It's the WBA Heavyweight Championship between the champion Michael Dokes, the challenger Gerrie Coetzee. It's been a long time between championship fights for the good folks of Cleveland, and wouldn't you know it, our boxing sage Larry Merchant remembers. Larry?
Barry, the last time I was in this building, Muhammad Ali fought Chuck Wepner. That night 8 years ago was memorable for two reasons. The first is that Wepner, affectionately known as the Bayonne Bleeder, a club fighter, fought so valiantly that he inspired Sylvester Stallone to invent the character Rocky Balboa. Also, there was an inspirational pep talk that night before the 15th round by one of Wepner's co-handlers, the late Patty Flood. He said to Wepner, "Look, you have everything. You're big in Bayonne. You have a bar. You have beautiful women. You have a big car. We have nothing, so go out there and win it for us." Well, there is a vague connection between that night and tonight, and not because Coetzee is a club fighter. He's acquitted himself admirably and professionally against some of the best heavyweights in the world. But he does need pep talking. He confesses that he has held American heavyweights too much in awe in the past, starting with his worship of Muhammad Ali. He's like the small-town kid who really doesn't believe he can make it in the big, big time. Well, all that is behind him now, he insists. We'll see about that tonight. The odds makers say it ain't so, and they say it vehemently, and so does the champion. We're here to find out if it's true or not. Barry?
Okay, thank you very much, Larry. No time like the present for this man to get some confidence, Ray Leonard. The other side of that coin, while Gerrie Coetzee has been in awe of Muhammad Ali, Michael Dokes never has been. He told Ali when he was 15 years old, "I'm gonna get you, old man." He never really did, but now he is the champion.
Well, the name of success is the fact one must believe within himself. And the only thing I don't like about Gerrie Coetzee is the fact that his self-confidence, he lacks very little of that.
Well, he has said that himself. In fact, by his own admission, he is a 10-round fighter. And that's something I think he's got to start to believe, that at least he can go 15 rounds.
Well, he can go 15 rounds. He's always in tip-top shape, Barry, and the fact that he punches so hard.
This man, though, has been a noted front-runner. He's been ahead in almost every one of the fights that he lost, to John Tate, to Mike Weaver. Almost all of those fights, he has been ahead and has lost in the closing rounds. Snipes was another guy.
Well, I think what we're going to see tonight is the fact that Michael Dokes may just run upon him, try to get him out early, or it may be just the other way around. Gerrie Coetzee may attack Dokes in the early round.
You take a look at the won and lost record of Gerrie Coetzee. It is impressive, but this, of course, is his third chance, and you have to think his last shot at a title.
One of the paradoxes of Coetzee is that he is widely respected for having a good punch, but at the same time, when he fought John Tate and Mike Weaver, we didn't see any evidence of it. Most of the evidence, of course, comes from that early knockout of Spinks.
And that, of course, was really set up by a vicious body punch to the ribs. That slowed Spinks down, and even though Coetzee knocked him down 3 times before the fight was stopped, it was that one punch that really made the difference. He's a heavy-handed puncher. We talk about the fact that maybe he hasn't had the greatest confidence in himself, but one thing he said earlier, remember he was a dental technician, and he said, I make teeth during the day and I knock them out at night. So that certainly would show that at least early in his career he had a little bit of confidence in himself.
Well, and you can also look at it this way. After a couple of operations that fused some bones in his hand, he knocked out Spinks. And since that time, he's had 13 more operations on that hand. My God, how powerful he must be now.
And in fact, even before his last fight with Pinklin Thomas, which was a draw, that fight had to be postponed because once again he broke the right hand, and that was subsequent to the latest operation. So Gerrie Coetzee in the ring now, and of course, as is commonplace, Michael Dokes will just make him wait for a little bit of time here. His last fight, he had the lead once again over Pinklin Thomas, and he let Thomas catch him. In the later rounds, the fight wound up being a draw. But if there's anything good about a draw, you'd have to say for Gerrie Coetzee, that was a good draw.
It was another good professional fighter he fought. Pinklin Thomas is 20-0 at the time. He again acquitted himself well. He belongs in this ring. Unlike some of the recent contenders for the heavyweight championship of both the WBA and the WBC.
Ray Leonard, let me ask you, it's a simple fact, I think, that Michael Dokes is going to charge him at the bell. What does Gerrie Coetzee have to do?
Well, Gerrie Coetzee can stop that with one punch, a left jab. Because the jab, it stops one's rhythm. And if Coetzee should let Michael Dokes get off fast and early, he could be in a little trouble.
They have said, as a matter of fact, that if Gerrie Coetzee has any flaw in his form at all, he hasn't been able to put a man away because he never punches in combinations of more than 2.
Well, he needs to come back with a left hook once in a while.
And here is the man making his way into the ring now, who is the champion of the WBA, Michael Dokes. This is his second title defense. His first title defense ended in a draw, and many people thought that Mike Weaver actually won that second fight. So this is going to be a real test for him.
Well, Michael Dokes, sometimes what happens in a fighter, he gets overconfident, especially after such a victorious win over Mike Weaver the first time around. He lays back and indulges in a social life, and the second time around, it becomes a tough fight. But this time, Michael Dokes, I'm sure, he trained very, very hard for this guy.
You know, we talk about confidence in a fighter, and we say Gerrie Coetzee may have a little bit of lack of confidence. Somebody said about Michael Dokes, in fact, a number of people said about Michael Dokes when he was younger, that he would be a lot better off if people would stop telling him how great he is.
Well, I like people tell me how great I was.
Well, you was.
Yeah, and Dokes was a very precocious fighter as a youngster. You know, he fought Teofilo Stevenson when he was 16 years old. And Stevenson then was on the top of his game, the greatest amateur in the world, and incidentally, the only man who ever decked Dokes. He hasn't been on the floor since then.
Well, in fact, he decked him in the first round, and a lot of people who were at that fight say that Dokes actually outfought him from there on.
Oh, he did. Dokes was a very, in fact, he was a Pan American team. Dokes was a very small heavyweight.
So Michael Dokes is now in the ring, and one thing you've always said, a fighter's got to be warm coming out of the locker room, Ray, as you look at Michael Dokes' record, and there's no question about it. Dokes has come into the ring fired up and very warm.
And a point to bring out, look at Gerrie Coetzee. He's dry, no perspiration. Michael Dokes just flowing with perspiration.
Michael Dokes has been telling people, even as late as this evening, he wants to go out there and get Gerrie Coetzee, and I mean right now.
I'm expecting that from the very first round.
Both fighters, of course, coming in with very comparable numbers. Coetzee, 3 years the elder of Dokes, but other than that, there's really very little to choose. Dokes, a couple pounds heavier than Coetzee, but interestingly enough, he has come in lighter than his second fight with Mike Weaver. Now, his people have said that they wanted him a little bulkier for the Weaver fight because of the heat in Las Vegas. There is nothing like that here. Common opponents, George Chaplin, and who can forget him? Both men beat George Chaplin by decision. Mike Weaver, of course, being knocked out by Michael Dokes in 1 round and knocked out Gerrie Coetzee in 13 rounds. Another fight that Gerrie Coetzee was well in front. And then, of course, the most recent title defense by Michael Dokes, the draw with Mike Weaver. But, of course, Dokes retaining his heavyweight championship. Both of these fighters, of course, coming off very impressive and long amateur careers. 147-7 for Michael Dokes, 201-2 as an amateur for Gerrie Coetzee. I don't think there's any question, Larry Merchant, this is going to be a very solid test for Michael Dokes.
Yes, and something should be mentioned here, which is that there are about 800 of Coetzee's countrymen who have made the trip all the way here to see him. He is the hope of that country, although he now lives in America. They have never had an Afrikaner champion. They've had a couple of South Africans in the lower weight divisions who have become champions, but never an Afrikaner.
4 o'clock in the morning in South Africa. A lot of folks up watching this one on television. Let's go to the ring announcer, Dan Coughlin, for the introductions of the two fighters.
Good evening, fight fans everywhere. Promoter Don King welcomes you to the Coliseum in Richfield and his Buckeye homecoming. This is the 97th World Championship bout promoted by Don King. It is the first under the auspices of the new Ohio Boxing Commission. It is sanctioned by the World Boxing Association. 15 rounds for the World Heavyweight Championship. Here are your officials. The WBA supervisor is Mel Ziegler. Representing the Ohio Boxing Commission is Commission Chairman Joseph Gennaro. The ringside judges from Venezuela, Fernando Viso. From Puerto Rico, Samuel Condé. And from Montreal, Guy Jutras. The referee working his 42nd championship bout from Puerto Rico, Tony Perez. The 10-point must scoring system is in use tonight. The timekeeper is Chet O'Kelly. Counting at the knockdowns, Hank Freedy. Introducing from Boksburg, South Africa, now living in America, the WBA's #1 contender with a record of 28-3-1 with 17 knockouts, weighing 215 pounds, Gerrie Coetzee. Defending his World Heavyweight Championship for the second time since winning it in December. Unbeaten in 28 fights with 2 draws, 15 knockouts, weighing 217 pounds, the reigning WBA Heavyweight Champion, Akron's own Michael Dokes.
Tony Perez, the referee, will call the two fighters together in the center of the ring. One other thing to keep in mind, the 3 knockdown rule is in effect tonight.
No questions at all. No questions. Shake hands, make the best man win. Good luck to both of you.
So you don't like to think that a turning point in a fight could come with the opening bell, and yet, Ray, I have the feeling it will.
I have a feeling that Michael Dokes is going to race right up to the corner of Gerrie Coetzee, throw a lot of punches and try to get him out early.
I completely agree with you. He has told people that.
Let me disagree, because one of us should be right here.
That's true.
One of us will be right.
Well, of course, that is the way he fought the first time against Mike Weaver. The fight lasted 63 seconds, albeit a controversial decision to stop the fight. Round 1. And Dokes does not charge if Coetzee comes out quickly. Center of the ring. That's 1 for Larry Merchant.
Both men are tight. And it's going to take a round or so, if it goes that long, before they loosen up. And in the first round, when the two fighters are tight, anything can happen. You can expect an early knockdown or even a knockout, Barry.
Remember, both these fighters, notorious front runners. Against Weaver, Dokes actually got a second win. Combinations by Coetzee getting the better of that exchange.
You saw what happened just then. Gerrie Coetzee was able to land a solid right hand on Michael Dokes' chin. And what's what might happen when both fighters exchange punches, because they both possess great punching power. What I see in Gerrie Coetzee now is just the fact that he's extending that left jab, not trying to land it, but trying to measure Michael Dokes for that overhand right.
Again, the criticism has been that Coetzee has not been able to come back with a left hook behind the right hand.
Well, a lot of times, Bird, the fact that the power of that right hand, a lot of times is not necessary.
Here, I think, a little bit early.
That was a good body shot by Gerrie Coetzee. In fact, he's followed through his strategy and plan, the fact of backing up Michael Dokes, because he feels that's the best approach to his fight.
Actually, Dokes right at the moment looks rather stiff-legged, and I haven't seen him be quite as immobile as he is right now, but as you mentioned, he might just be a little bit tight early on.
He is a little tight, Barry, and coming in late. In fact, Michael Dokes came in a little late, and preparation is the key to a fight. Must be relaxed.
So far, Coetzee has been able to keep Michael Dokes off of him. But remember, Dokes has said the way to fight him, as you heard him say earlier, is to back up.
Michael Dokes, look at his stance. He's flat-footed. In other words, he's going to get a lot of power behind, a lot of leverage in his punches.
Sonny, sit in your chair.
Coetzee is showing a proper amount of respect. Not really taking the fight to Dokes.
Michael Dokes is trying to cut the ring off. He's not just following Gerrie Coetzee, he's cutting the ring. Every time Gerrie Coetzee moves to his right, you'll notice Michael Dokes will move to his left. Shorten the ring up. Get closer.
A round where both men feeling each other out. The left hand scored. The first two missed, and Dokes come back with a left hand of his own. And a round one. Interesting round, I think, Larry.
Yes, I'm struck by a couple of things. One is that the challenger has had as many championship fights as the champion, and he seems actually cooler. He also seems bigger, even though the statistics say he doesn't.
Now, right? Keep your upper body moving. What he's doing, he's charging at you. You see him charging at you. You see him charging at you, trying to fire the right hand over top, and he raises up on his toe. Then he's trying to stop you from moving that way by moving the left hand, right? When he gives you the upper body, when he stands there and give me your machine gun jab and roll underneath. Don't come back straight. Put it in there. You understand? Don't come back straight, Cap. You don't come back straight at no time. Setting him up with your jab.
Let's go to Coetzee's corner.
Well, I think what you saw there is an example of two very organized corners, Ray.
Well, I would say Bobby Lewis gave very good instructions to Michael Dokes. Don't move straight back, because what's going to happen, he's going to get in the corner, and Gerrie Coetzee is going to throw those straight punches.
Dokes has picked up the pace a little bit here. Coetzee lunges. Coetzee seems to have a lot of crowd support here, actually, surprisingly.
Michael Dokes was also instructed in the corner to move his upper body a little more. Not to be a stationary target, because Coetzee is trying to set him up once again for that right hand. You notice Coetzee's right hand is down. Michael Dokes has a very good solid left hook. And when he comes back with it, it's so sharp and so accurate. He's taking a lot of guys out with that punch.
Stuck it in there pretty good once right there. And now doing exactly as Bobby Lewis's cornerman had told him.
Watch for the left hook by Michael Dokes. I think that would be one of the key punches in this fight. Once he's able to get in close enough.
A lot of measuring going on between these two right now. Also a lot of respect for each other's punching abilities. Effective jabs up and down by Dokes. And a good right hand by Coetzee. Comes back with another right hand.
And exactly what Bob Lewis told Dokes not to do, to move straight back. Watch the left hook. The left hook just lands.
And it got Coetzee right off of him. So both men were tagged.
Coetzee is too erect. He's too straight up. And he's susceptible for a left hook. That right hand is down. Michael Dokes has very fast hands. And the left hook, once again, being redundant, the left hook could be the key. But I would agree with Larry. Coetzee seems so calm and so composed.
Very much so, much more so than I've ever seen Gerrie Coetzee be. He also seems to be conserving himself a little bit, which is something he hadn't done. Good left hand! Dokes was hurt.
Dokes needs to get out of that corner. He should keep on staying in the center of the ring. Because Coetzee now is trying to load up. He's throwing bombs, overhand rights.
And a right hand by Coetzee, back with a left. Dokes fighting back with a right hand of his own.
Guard, the punch they're throwing now, they put all their weight behind it. It's either going to be the left hook by Michael Dokes or a solid right hand by Gerrie Coetzee.
Nobody's wasting any punches here, too. Both men seem, and there's cut from the right eye of Gerrie Coetzee.
Now you may see Michael Dokes come to life.
I was just about to say that cuts have been a problem of Gerrie Coetzee, and early on, there is a cut over the right eye, and it's bleeding reasonably heavily.
It's hard to say right now if it's on the lid or just under the eye or just to the side of the eye. Let's see if we can have a closer look at it in his corner. It looks like it's just above the lid and below the eyebrow. And that is not a good place to have a cut.
It's in a very bad spot.
Let's take some of the... There's a good straight right hand, followed by a left by Coetzee. That combination may have won him that round. On my card, Coetzee has won both rounds. This is following form, as you've noted before, Barry. He has been the early leader in all of his big fights.
Now, of course, the entire complexion of the fight can change because of the cut over the right eye of Coetzee. And immediately it starts bleeding again. So his corner did not do much in the way of stopping that cut. Dokes certainly will work on it. And he's got a lot of time, a long way to go.
A good cut man is so important in the corner because he has to administer that cut, keep it from flowing, and to make sure it doesn't become a handicap.
And with the cut over the eye, as Larry Merchant mentioned, much more serious than were it alongside the eye. Hard to see that left hand coming. And this could just mean nothing but problems for Gerrie Coetzee. Should point out also that Pinklin Thomas cut Coetzee over the right eye late in the going of his last fight.
Michael Dokes, because we fought on the amateur teams together, he can turn, like I was saying, very few fighters can turn that jab into a left hook. And Michael Dokes is one of those fighters that can do that.
Dokes has improved steadily. Had a real good test against Weaver the last time, and it might have kind of perked him up. He's been a little bit lackadaisical in some of his training methods. Whether or not he was this time will show tonight.
I like those shots thrown to the body by Michael Dokes. And for a big guy, heavyweights, those body shots, they take their toll in the later rounds.
Dokes now seems very patient.
One thing about Michael Dokes also is when a fighter attacks him, he goes down to a little crouch and he comes up throwing so many combinations. Especially the left hook, Barry.
Over the eye, not appreciably worse in this round than it was at the end of the last round.
You notice Michael Dokes just drilling that right hand to the body. Just then attempting to go left hook, right hand, and what he's doing now, he's making Coetzee think he's just going to go to the body, and he makes the right hand to the head shortly. This is the way you confuse a fighter.
Both fighters being very patient here, obviously aware that this is a long haul, and needless to say, aware that neither one of them has ever really been known as a guy who could go the full distance, even though Michael Dokes did the last time against Weaver, but he did run out of gas between the 4th and the 9th rounds, came back in the 10th and 11th, and then lost the last 3 on everybody's card but one.
Coetzee is waiting for one opportunity, and that's that right hand. What he wants to do, he wants to come across. That was a good right hand to the body by Michael Dokes. What Coetzee wants to do is to set Michael Dokes up for that right hand.
And a round in which the eye did not get much worse, and that might be of some significance.
But I think that cut eye may have influenced the fight because suddenly Coetzee was more of the counter-puncher than we saw him in the first 2 rounds, and that could lead to a dull fight, a tactical fight.
Round, you threw that right to the body, hook back to the head, and it was very effective. Try that again.
With the right to the left?
Yeah, right to the side, left hook back to the head. And keep working that jet.
Here's Michael Dokes.
Making the move to the right, up, down. Don't lower the hand. Head and body moves, up and down, right? Upper body, it moves. Upper body, it moves.
There you can see the cut. It is not clear in that shot where the blood is coming from, but it is coming from above the lid and below the brow. the eyebrow.
Ring physician did come in to take a look at the eye. However, that is all he did, was just take a quick look and leave the ring. It does not appear right at the moment that the eye is of any threat, at least to the stoppage of the fight so far as Gerrie Coetzee is concerned. Not right now, but it is in a nasty place. This is the 4th round.
Coetzee corner, they really like that right hand to the body and left hook to the head that Coetzee delivered in the first round. This is what Michael Dokes, he shouldn't be. You see what Coetzee is doing now. He's just praying with Michael Dokes, trying to measure him for that right hand. He's getting closer, and there. He was able to land, but it wasn't a clean blow.
Coetzee again being aggressive here, as Larry Merchant mentioned, started to be the counterpuncher in the 3rd round. Has come back a little bit more aggressively here in the 4th.
I think it's a very tactical fight on the part of Coetzee. He's not wasting any energy. Once again, well, he tried to throw that shot to the ribs and left hook to the head. There, he attempted to try it again. But he's leaving himself wide open, Barry, for left hook, a counter left hook.
Little swelling under the right eye of Michael Dokes, although that's been there since the middle of the 1st round. Seems to be getting a little bit worse. It does not seem to be a major problem right at the moment. It could become a factor.
And we see a little thing now from Gerrie Coetzee. Wait for the right hand. He tried it again, Barry, but he missed.
Step back clean.
Again, it's interesting to me that both fighters really adhering to their corner's advice.
See, Dokes can't take the chance of staying in the corner. What he should be doing is utilizing his speed, keeping Coetzee in the center of the ring, box him.
Dokes getting the better of that.
What's also, I think, is creating somewhat a little of a slight problem for Michael Dokes is just the slight difference in height.
Something to consider, too, is the fact that after the 4th round against Mike Weaver was when Michael Dokes appreciably ran out of gas. And this, of course, is the 4th round. So conditioning could really become very much a part of this fight.
A beautiful shot. Right hand to the midsection by Gerrie Coetzee. Somewhat of a backhand.
Definitely was a backhanded punch, and Tony Perez will have a little talk about that. Again, blood flowing somewhat freely from the right eye, although right now it appears to be alongside and a little bit below the eye.
Mouthpiece.
All right, let's listen into Dokes' corner now.
Listen, upper body, it's got to move. It's got to move. You understand? Yeah, but watch yourself when you lay there. I don't want you making a habit of laying on the rope when you're there. I don't want you making a habit of laying yourself on that rope when he's coming, right? Now, he's coming at a count of 3. He does that little funny movement, and on the count of 3, it does it 3 times. Then he's making a move, and he raises up to fire the right hand, just like you're seeing it. But make sure, one time you catch him on there, if you get him right, set him up right, back eye, and then run your set. But I want you to have the most of the ring to your back, so you can move the way you want to move. The way you can want to move. You understand? You're boxing at close range.
Get off the ropes, in other words.
I'll tell you, if you ever wonder why they call this the sweet science, it is, in fact, a science.
Exactly what it is. And you have to be versatile. You can't just fight one way. And Michael Dokes is capable of doing that. Now we see the tables are somewhat turning. Michael Dokes is starting to become aggressive. And this may create problems with Gerrie Coetzee.
And again, we get now to the point of the fight where conditioning can start to play a factor.
I love those shots to the body. They're beautiful shots.
Coetzee keeps pawing at that eye with the back of his glove, which would certainly indicate that it could be giving him a bit of a problem here.
I think what Michael Dokes wants Coetzee to do is to throw his punches, and then after he's finished throwing his series of combination, he's going to come back. And you notice Dokes always throws punches. He throws left hook to the body, left hook to the head.
A good right hand and Dokes is down. Flush on the side of the face. Dokes does not appear to be hurt. He'll take the 8 count.
It was more of a flash knockdown, but it was a beautiful right hand by Gerrie Coetzee. Now watch Coetzee go back to the body and up to the head. Watch for the overhand right again. The left hook by Coetzee just landed.
Dokes does not appear to be hurt. We must point out that right hand a little bit short. A good left hand counter punch by Dokes.
Dokes is a little dazed now. That right hand is starting to land. And you see what's happening, bro, is the fact that Coetzee is trying to land a right hand. When it doesn't land, Michael Dokes is able to connect with the good left hook.
Just the simple fact that he managed to knock Michael Dokes down, which has not happened in his professional career, as Dokes comes back with a hard right of his own.
Coetzee should stay on top of Dokes now if he wants to take his title. You see, when you hurt a fighter, you don't let him recover. You take advantage of it. Those body shots, I like those body shots. I don't like what he's doing now with the reaching in, because he's susceptible to be hit by a counterpunch.
He started to get a little wild, actually, just before he scored with the right-hand punch that put Dokes down.
Gerrie Coetzee could also be a little arm weary, and now he's starting to telegraph his punches. You see that, he's starting to miss.
Dokes has gotten himself in trouble on the ropes.
Watch the right hand, once again to the body.
Crowd very much alive. Remember, it's a pro-Dokes crowd. And so it could be a little bit misleading, although I'll tell you, Gerrie Coetzee is getting a lot of crowd support.
That tactical fight suddenly turned into a brawl with that one right hand. You have to give Dokes credit for standing back and fighting like a real champion, wanting to come back at him. Let's take a look right here. A left followed by a clean right, and Dokes went down on one knee. It was a clean flash knockdown. And it wasn't really dazed, but he took 2 clean punches and a nice combination to put him down. There it is again.
And it was measured by that left jab.
You understand? Don't get on them ropes. That's where he wants you. And when you find your hook, you're raising up with your right hand down. Deep breath up. Up. Let's go. Let's go.
We saw why Dokes is a championship caliber fighter when he fought back, trying to regain the initiative. This could be a crucial round for him.
This round here, I'm expecting Gerrie Coetzee just to take his time, and because he exerted a lot of energy that round. He put Dokes down, and now he just going to take his time, maybe throw a few jabs until he gets Dokes in a position to throw some punches.
Gerrie Coetzee historically has been about an 8-round fighter. That's where things have turned for him, around the 8th round. You saw a graphic just a couple of moments ago about the average length of a fight of Michael Dokes.
You see, not too much action from Gerrie Coetzee, just buying us time.
It really is beginning to look here, as we mentioned, and I hate to be redundant also, but conditioning could play a very important part in this fight.
It will play an important part, Barry, because these guys are heavyweights. They start off at a very fast pace. Dokes was put down, and now Gerrie Coetzee may be a little arm weary from the series of punches that he was able to throw and land.
That cut over the eye of Coetzee is really no worse than it was when it happened in the 2nd round.
Once again, Coetzee is just trying to measure Dokes for that devastating right hand.
And a little bit of blood from the nose of Michael Dokes, and once again, means he might have to breathe through his mouth a little bit more, and you don't want to see a fighter do that.
Dokes been going to the body pretty much the length of this start of the 1st round. And I'm looking for him to go to the head once in a while.
There's a right hand lead with a left hand behind him.
punching power of Gerrie Coetzee. Whenever a fighter's knocked down, he quite naturally has some respect. And those shots to the body, they take so much out of you.
Not much damage in that last exchange.
I've never seen Gerrie Coetzee throw an uppercut, and this is what he could do against Michael Dokes when Dokes go down.
Getting that jab into the face of Michael Dokes now, and he really hasn't been able to do that before in this fight. Changing his tactics almost from round to round.
Michael Dokes is anticipating the right hand of Gerrie Coetzee.
A quiet round, but I can't help but wonder, Larry, if that might not be by design.
Well, it shouldn't be by the design of Dokes. He's behind in this fight. One of the surprising things is that he has not worked on Coetzee's eye, and he hasn't thrown that jab very much either, Ray. Let's listen to the corner of Coetzee.
Take about 3 nice big deep breaths. Come on. Let him get him up.
Well, they're doing this round in Afrikaans, and we don't have our UN interpreter with us.
Oh, I can tell you what they're saying. You're telling me he's doing a fantastic job.
Are you surprised that Dokes hasn't thrown his left jab, or is he afraid of the counter right?
I think he's a little punch shy now because of that flash knockdown. But Dokes is tough.
But if nothing else, Coetzee has captured his attention.
Yes, that was very easy. Michael Dokes has a superior left jab, and I'm surprised he's not using it. He's been popping to the belly every so often, but now once again he's flat-footed. He's been flat-footed throughout the whole fight.
Right from the opening bell.
And I think what he wants to do is land some heavy shots to the body.
Again, the right-hand lead gets in on the face of Michael Dokes.
Watch when Michael Dokes jab to the body. I'm looking for a right hand to the head to follow.
For the moment, the bleeding over the right eye has stopped. Another right-hand lead right to the face.
That's the reason that Bobby Lewis told Dokes not to move straight back, because this is the way that Gerrie Coetzee punches. When he punches, he gains momentum and he goes straight back. He follows you.
Saw another chopping right hand by Coetzee get in on Dokes. And Coetzee complains about the low blow, and Tony Perez agrees.
Now see, you notice now that Dokes is headed towards the ropes. Now he's away from the ropes. And this is where Coetzee wants him. Against the ropes or in the corner. Dokes should not be there.
And another good right hand by Coetzee.
You saw what happened there, Barry. Every time he gets the ropes or in the corner, Coetzee with those long arms and that powerful right hand, he's going to land, whether it's to the body, whether it's to the head.
That was a pretty good shot by Dokes, actually, but now Dokes with his back to the ropes.
This is becoming a very physical fight.
And Coetzee draws a warning for low blows.
Dokes is hurt now. Just then, that combination there, whoever has landed would have been on the canvas for sure.
And there was your uppercut also, Ray.
Now watch the right hand again.
A left hand.
Now what's the uppercut? Oh, there should be an uppercut. That's the uppercut there. Now we should see a right hand by Gerrie Coetzee, because now he's still a little arm weary, and Dokes is definitely fatigued now.
Dokes he's also a little bit rubber-legged.
He's blowing, and now his arms, he's not punching anymore. Watch the right hand.
A left hand bouncing off the ropes.
Michael definitely is tired. Coetzee should go to his body and take advantage.
But you know, in the back of Coetzee's head has got to be the fact that he is an admitted 10-round fighter, and he's got to be thinking about pacing himself.
Dokes is definitely fatigued, and so is Gerrie Coetzee. But Coetzee is going to work.
A big round for Coetzee.
It was a very big round for Gerrie Coetzee. He stayed stayed aggressive. He landed some big shots, even uppercuts.
Michael Dokes is going to have to dig into some deep reservoir. I have him way behind in this fight. Here we see Coetzee coming on top of him, the complete aggressor. Dokes is trying to counter against him, but he's countering blindly, it seems, Ray, not with any real purpose.
He's not, and Larry, the fact that Dokes, when he's down, he just punches, throws a lot of shots, and not knowing exactly where his punches are going.
They're working more feverishly now in the corner of Coetzee on that eye. Jackie McCoy is the man in there. He's been training Coetzee for the last 6 weeks or so. A famous trainer from California who has had a number of champions and may have another one tonight.
This is the 8th round, and I'll tell you, you got two journeymen in the corners. Bobby Lewis in the corner of Michael Dokes, Jackie McCoy in the corner of Gerrie Coetzee.
They must have poured a bucket of water on Michael Dokes, and they do, and trainers do that to revive a fighter, to rejuvenate him. Once again, Larry, look how cool Gerrie Coetzee is. Taking his time, waiting for Michael Dokes to make a mistake, or waiting for an opportunity for Michael Dokes to move back into a corner or against the ropes where he should not be.
Well, throughout his career, this 8th round has been a very pivotal one for Gerrie Coetzee. Of the two, there's no question as to who is the stronger right now. Good right hand by Dokes.
Well, see, this is the round that the critics are saying that both men fatigue very fast in. And I guess we'll get our answer tonight. I don't see why Dokes is not going to the head with that right hand. He's quick enough to get away with it.
Also leaning in with his punches, not really getting much behind those punches is Michael Dokes. Incidentally, the swelling under the eye of Dokes no worse than it was. And the cut alongside the eye or above the eye of Gerrie Coetzee right at the moment not bleeding at all. There's also a swelling under the eye of Coetzee as well.
I'm under the impression, Barry, that Michael Dokes is really trying to wait and pace himself and come on strong in the later round.
Both men scored with the exchange there.
Coetzee's right hand, it comes over. It's a straight punch, but it comes over, and with a lot of power.
Dokes still trying to go predominantly downstairs. Trying to bring the arms down.
Oh, that was a great uppercut. That was a beautiful uppercut. But as I said earlier, he needs to come back with something. You can't rely on one punch unless you're bionic.
Coetzee fighting a very smart fight right now.
Dokes is really blowing hard from the mouth. His mouth is open. And that's now, just then, that combination was thrown by Michael Dokes. Coetzee has to be very careful because Michael Dokes always finishes a combination with the left hook.
And significantly in this round, there has been no blood from the eye of Gerrie Coetzee. Let's go into Michael Dokes' corner.
Now you're coming around. Now you're coming around. And it's got to be moving. Yeah, I am. Now, and it's got to be coming around, and you're moving it to the right. You're moving to the right. You're moving the head around. Then you're snapping the punches right there. You understand what I'm saying?
Well, we want to remind you that Inside the NFL comes your way on HBO every Thursday with Len Dawson and Nick Bonacani. So why don't you be with us every week for action highlights of every NFL game right on through Super Bowl 18.
All right, we're looking at Coetzee's corner. You know, one thing about Coetzee, that sometimes fatigue comes from tension and anxiety. And he has appeared so cool tonight, so perfectly calm in the ring, that we may not see that same fighter that we have seen in the past.
excellent point. This is the 9th round. You heard Dokes' corner actually very pleased with their man. Dokes picks up the pace again now.
Also, Michael Dokes is on his toes now.
And a left hand sends Coetzee reeling against the ropes. I'm not sure if he was hurt or if he was just back on his heels.
No, he's just off balance, Barry.
The crowd loves it, but remember, this is a hometown favorite in Michael Dokes, although Coetzee has gotten an awful lot of support here in Cleveland.
Dokes needs to exemplify what he has, and that's that great hand speed.
Well, again, Dokes really came out up on his toes and moving quickly at the beginning of this round. Right now, he's back stiff-legged and flat-footed.
And once again, against the ropes, and near a corner where Bob Lewis told not to be because Coetzee throws that right hand.
That's it.
3 jabs, all got in, and a left hook.
You notice now that Coetzee punches are landing a lot cleaner. His jab, he's beaten Michael Dokes to the punch, and I'm surprised with that because Michael Dokes has superior hand speed.
And right now, it's going to be the story of cumulative effect on Michael Dokes, really. Coetzee's punches may not have quite the sting they had in the early rounds, but they're just piling up and piling up.
Look at Coetzee now. All he's doing is kitty patting, setting him up, waiting to drop a bomb. But he can't be too lackadaisical because what happened, Dokes will come on very strong at the spur of a moment. Just then.
Good combination by Michael Dokes. Brings the crowd alive. Coetzee is not hurt.
Dokes should close his mouth. He's subject to a broken jaw.
Right hand to the ribs, right hand to the face by Coetzee. Left hook by Coetzee, and once more, Dokes had his legs wobble. And a right hand behind that.
You see what's happening, the mistake. They're exchanging blow for blow.
That punch was short by Dokes.
Now Coetzee here appears to be a lot stronger. Yet Michael Dokes still seems to be hanging in there. And I think Michael Dokes feels that he hurt Coetzee with that combination he threw.
I only saw one punch in that combination really land. That's a left hand by Coetzee.
Watch the uppercut, Byrne. It should come any moment now. I'm very impressed with the way Coetzee is fighting.
Fighting a very smart fight and is very much in control at the end of 9.
Very technical fight.
There were 2 earlier heavyweight fights tonight. Alfredo Evangelista, who went 15 rounds with Muhammad Ali 100 years ago, scored a resounding upset over Ronaldo Snipes, one of the ranked heavyweights in the world. And Tim Witherspoon was tremendously impressive as he just ran right through James Quick Tillis in the first round with a TKO.
You're coming outside and you're moving to your right. And when then you get to your right. Then you get off to your right hand side. Then you get off there.
Take charge. Be the boss.
As we saw at the end of that last round, the time is coming when Michael Dokes is going to have to go to war to save his championship.
Did you detect, Larry, a little bit of note of concern in the corner for the first time?
Well, if they aren't concerned, there's something wrong with their eyesight.
This is the 10th round.
Once again, Michael Dokes is drenched with water, which proves fatigue has set in on the fighter and trying to bring him back to life.
I didn't really mean so much concern implied as concern voiced.
You see what's happening? Michael Dokes is letting Coetzee beat him to the punch with the left jab and even the right hand. What Michael Dokes needs to do is match the jab of Gerrie Coetzee. And he'll stop all of that.
And And again, it should be noted that eye has not been opened up for the last 3 rounds. So Coetzee not only in control of the fight seemingly, but also now with the flow of blood stemmed from a cut that he suffered at the end of the 2nd round.
They're hollering from Dokes' corner for him to keep that chin down, and I think he better because see what happens. Coetzee punches up, he raises his left foot up, and he comes down with the right hand.
Dokes still breathing through his mouth a great deal.
All Gerrie Coetzee wants to do is let the left jab touch.
Scored with a hard right hand.
And he knows that right hand will follow, just like he did there. Dokes needs to move, keep this man in the center of the ring, or we're going to see this the rest of the fight, or if it should go that long.
Blood now slightly from the corner of Coetzee's eye once more, but it is alongside the eye, and it has not really bled in his eye.
And now we're seeing body shots again. Dokes seems to be a little hurt. He's wobbly now. He's wobbling. His legs are buckled.
And there's a solid right hand by Coetzee, and Dokes is in serious trouble.
Now, Dokes is seriously injured.
Dokes is out on his feet here if Coetzee can finish him off.
Coetzee just can't get wild. Just take his time and he can get his man out of there.
Dokes holding on.
He's doing the right thing, Barry. Hold on, clear his head.
15 seconds remaining in this round, and Coetzee is on him. Backhands the right hand. Dokes is out on his feet, but may get through the round.
I doubt it very seriously.
And he's down, and this could be it. Cannot be saved by the bell.
That's it.
He cannot be saved by the bell. It's over, and we have a new WBA heavyweight champion of the world, and I might add it was well-deserved tonight.
It was a very strategic fight by Gerrie Coetzee. Michael Dokes, I don't know what was wrong, but the fact he laid back and he did just the opposite of what Bobby Lewis was telling him. Don't move straight back. Gerrie Coetzee was measuring him with that left jab and set him up for the right hand, put Dokes down, hurt him, and stayed on top of him.
The other side of the coin, of course, is you look at a man who is not the loser, folks. That is the winner and new champion, deliriously happy. But for all that Michael Dokes did wrong, Ray, Gerrie Coetzee did right.
Exactly, Barry.
And I mean, they got to be going crazy in South Africa. There was no question about it. It wasn't only the knockout. It was a man in control of this fight almost from the opening bell.
It was a very scientifically fought fight by Gerrie Coetzee.
Let's take a look at it once more, Ray.
Well, here we see Gerrie Coetzee now stepping aside, dropping that same right hand he's been dropping throughout the fight. Michael Dokes now is in trouble. He goes down.
2 booming right hands were what put him away, but it was a flurry of punches earlier.
Watch the power. The right hand lands, and Gerrie Coetzee takes his time, comes back with a double right hand.
And that was right at the end of the round. The man could not be saved by the bell, and we have a new champion just like that.
Here, Dokes trying to hold on, but Gerrie Coetzee had an opportunity, and he didn't let it get away from him. Right here, right hand lands. Michael is in serious trouble, and Coetzee lands another right hand. Dokes hits the canvas.
Well, we were saying earlier that Dokes is really out on his feet even before that. You can see in that shot that we just had that Dokes was a man who was already out. Right now, Larry Merchant's in the ring with the new champion. Larry?
The new WBA heavyweight champion of the world. What are your feelings at this moment, Gerrie?
I can just think of Mr. Don King giving me this opportunity. I don't realize what happened to me tonight. Really, I want to praise the Lord. I promised him that I want to thank him. I want to thank Mr. King.
You seemed from the very start more relaxed and confident than we've ever seen you in your previous 2 championship fights. Was that true?
I was very relaxed because I knew my hands are solid. It's okay. I worked hard, fighting tight. I didn't realize what a world title meant, and I didn't have a family. I love my family, and I've done it for them as well tonight.
Were you concerned that Dokes would rush to you early in the fight as he did to Weaver? Were you ready for anything?
Yes. I thought he's going to come quick at me. I want to thank Michael for giving me this opportunity so quick. But the first time I hit him with the right, I saw the expression on his face that he's been hit. My corner was telling me, go to whip, but I knew Mike is getting tired. I worked hard, and it's got to come.
What about the cut on your right eye? From this angle, it looks like a very nasty cut. How concerned were you about it?
I was worried about that, especially in the third and fourth round. I couldn't see well. But Jackie McCoy, Willie Locke, my dad, Cedric Kushner, this man over here, I've got to take the whole night to thank everybody, but I think these two persons were the greatest.
Were you surprised that he didn't work on your eye more than he did?
I knew if he's got to go open with the left, I'm going to hit him with the cross right.
So you're saying that because you got the respect from him of landing the right early in the fight, he was afraid to throw too many lefts at that damaged eye?
Yeah, but I hit him in the body bad shots as well. He didn't know where to block, to the body or to the head.
You showed none of the fatigue that we've seen in the past in the middle of the fight. Was that why was that?
I'm training in America. I'm working in America. America is a great, great country. The people are sports people. And I want to thank the American people for all their support. And I want to thank the South African people coming to see me, have a lot of faith in me.
What about Jackie McCoy? What has he done for you over the last few weeks that you hadn't had before?
He improved my left hand tremendously. The left hook, that's where I really shook Dokes as well. And that's the one I think set him up for the right.
What kind of a champion do you want to be, Gerrie?
I want, honestly, be the people's champ.
What does that mean?
I want to be everybody's champ. I don't want to be a specific person's champ. I want to be the world champ.
You're saying you don't want to be just the champion of South Africa or white people, but also of black people and everyone.
Everybody. There's a saying, if your country is right, if they are wrong, it's your country. You can't throw them away, you still love them. But I really love America, and I love Mr. King for giving me this chance. I never believed that he's going to give me this opportunity. Thank you, Mr. King.
Do you want to fight Larry Holmes now and unify the title? That would be an immense fight right now.
Larry, have we got time can I tell you something?
Sure.
I was at Atlantic City when Snubs fought Berbick, and I wanted to meet him, but we'll talk later about that. I'm looking forward to it.
You're saying that you're not very fond of Larry Holmes.
No. Not at all.
Thank you very much for a great fight, Gerrie Coetzee.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Larry Merchant, and we are still looking into the corner right now of Michael Dokes, who is still, I think, perhaps maybe even more stunned than he might be hurt. But it was interesting to me, Ray Leonard, that Gerrie Coetzee seemed almost as calm in talking with Larry Merchant as he was in the way he fought his fight tonight.
Well, Bert, I think that was the key to the whole fight, the fact that Gerrie Coetzee was very calm, very collected. He took his time, and what Michael Dokes did wrong, Gerrie Coetzee did right.
And I think you're looking at a very stunned former champion right now. The graphic that you just saw pretty much said it all. The first professional loss for Michael Dokes.
Well, it's the first loss for Michael Dokes to come back. You know, I lost my first fight against Duran. The fact of being young, quite naturally, he's really hurt, emotionally disturbed. But Michael Dokes is the type of fighter, an individual that can come back.
It was a perfect fight so far as Gerrie Coetzee is concerned. It's not one of those fights where you go away saying, what if, and there's really not any wouldas or shouldas or couldas about this fight.
Well, every fight, you have to be very strategic and very tactical. Gerrie Coetzee fought had the right plan for Michael Dokes. Michael Dokes was exceptionally great champion, but Gerrie Coetzee proved that he was ready for Michael Dokes.
Another interesting thing too, now you really have to look at what is this going to do to the heavyweight division. It's just going to cause all kinds of shakeups in the heavyweights.
Shakeups, yes, but you know who one man's going to clear that up is Larry Holmes.
All right, I know one guy who's going to clear it up right at the moment. That is the man who is standing in the ring, Larry Merchant, our sage. Larry?
Okay, I thought there was a golden opportunity for someone here tonight. Frankly, I thought the golden opportunity was for Michael Dokes, the champion, because the other champion, Larry Holmes, has been in a sort of retirement on the job, so to speak, uncharacteristically fighting the weakest fighters he can fight instead of the strongest. The golden opportunity turned out to be the underdog in a monumental heavyweight championship upset. This sets up a tremendous fight with Larry Holmes and perhaps others. The heavyweight division is now back and will probably soon assume its rightful place as the division everyone wants to see. Back to Barry and Ray.
Okay, thank you very much. And your reaction, Ray Leonard? A surprise, Ray Leonard, at that? Let's make a deal. What did you think overall? I mean, the guy fought what seemed, at least to me, as a layperson, to be a perfect fight.
I thought it was a perfect plan carried out by Gerrie Coetzee, and the fact that he demonstrated qualities that it possessing a champion. Technique, scientific techniques, everything. He did everything right.
I would have to think that even coming into this fight, Gerrie Coetzee, the new champion, didn't think he could knock out Michael Dokes.
You know, for some reason, I think he did. I'm sure he was confident, something that we said he lacked, but he walked into the ring very composed, very collected, and he did a very good job.
We said that the fight against Mike Weaver, the second Mike Weaver fight, was a real test for Michael Dokes. What do you suppose this one is going to mean to him now?
Well, it's going to mean going back to the drawing board, starting all over again, and not giving up.
So we have a new champion. He is Gerrie Coetzee. He fought a perfect fight. Here is one more look at that knockout, and he was simply brilliant, Ray.
Well, the fact that Gerrie Coetzee was so aggressive and tenacious, here he sets up Michael Dokes. He kept that left hand going. That right hand was effective all night, and the right hand was the punch that did the job.
Well, he had a chance against Larry Holmes. He didn't do it. He had a chance against John Tate. He didn't do it. And it's an old cliche to be sure, but tonight for Gerrie Coetzee, the third time was a charm. Be sure and tune in every Thursday for HBO Sports Inside the NFL. Join Len Dawson and Nick Bonacani for all the highlights and latest breaking stories surrounding the NFL. Check your listings for the times in your area. Also, don't miss our next telecast of World Championship Boxing when
Next week, we'll take on Trevor Berbick. Comparisons are naturally inevitable between Ali and Frazier in their comeback attempts. Their names inextricably linked because of the three great fights they had for the championship. As for age, Ali will soon be 40, Frazier 38. At that age, it could possibly make a difference in their comeback attempt. Now Jumbo Cummings has come into the ring. Jumbo Cummings in the blue and white robe. A record of 17-1. Asked how he would treat Joe Frazier in the ring, he said he was not worried about hurting Joe Frazier. He was afraid of killing him. As a matter of fact, Cummings says he even has his lawyers ready, just in case it's needed. That, of course, a tragically ironic note to Jumbo Cummings' career because it began in prison. Let's go now to ring announcer Ben Bentley for the introductions.
This evening's program are sanctioned and under the supervision of the State Athletic Board of Illinois, of the Department of Registration and Education, Gary Clayton, the Director of Registration and Education, Nick Periciotis, the Executive Secretary of the Athletic Board, and Paul Patterson, the Chairman. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we would like to have you stand and join with us in the singing of the national anthem as sung by Chicago's own Bobby Wilson, our national anthem.
And
to wonder how Joe Frazier feels standing in a ring, hearing the national anthem sung. 5.5 years since it last was done for real. It's different now, 5.5 years older. The purse, $80,000 tonight for Joe. Far and away with the smallest purse he's had in many, many a year. $10,000 will go to Jumbo Cummings. He is on his way up. Joe Frazier, well, he's on his road to one of two things. If he wins tonight at all impressively, he might get his shot at a title. If he loses by any margin, it is almost certainly the end. Once again, back to Ben Bentley, ring announcer.
For this contest have been appointed by the State Athletic Commission, and your judges are Collins, Brown, Harold Marovitz, the attending ringside physician, Dr. George Tovar, the timekeeper is Al Tremeri, and the referee for this contest, Nate Morgan. This is the final and feature bout of the evening. 10 rounds heavyweights. From Chicago, Illinois, he's running the blue and the white trunks. He tipped the scales this afternoon. 1.5 pounds. Jumbo Cummings. And his opponent from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, the purple and the white trunks, 229 pounds. The former world heavyweight champion, Smoking Joe Frazier. Come here. Let them hear your instructions.
So the two fighters get their instructions.
Here are the instructions.
The referee giving the instructions now to Jumbo Cummings and Joe Frazier. 10 rounds. For Joe Frazier, again, a 5.5-year retirement. Finally ended, although at one point just 3 years ago he did think about coming out to fight South Africa's Coetzee. Hepatitis interrupted that. But tonight, nothing has interrupted it, not even fears on the part of some that Joe might have suffered brain damage in his two devastating losses to Muhammad Ali, and particularly the losses 2 each to George Foreman. Round 1 is underway. And Joe still moving as he always did, up and down. Some body shots in the clinch there from Jumbo Cummings, who has a big advantage in height and reach, although 6 pounds lighter in weight. The familiar Joe Frazier moves that we have not seen for 5.5 years. Solid punches. Solid punches in the clinch. Cummings can hit. But Frazier can take a punch. He has taken so many in his career. Joe moving as well as he ever did. Despite his reputation as a banger, he always could move, but he got tagged a lot. Tying each other up, a little waltzing, a little feeling each other out. And they are throwing some haymakers. Some of those are landing from Cummings. Joe does not appear to be particularly effective at this point. Pushing each other around the ring. No stylist, certainly Jumbo Cummings. There went a first Frazier left hook of the night, but it missed and didn't have much on it. Certainly it didn't look like Joe Frazier's left hook. Certainly Cummings getting the better of it in the clinches, landing some good solid shots to the ribs, and almost any punch from a man of Cummings' size is a solid shot. An exchange of jabs and a right uppercut from Cummings, who certainly is getting the better of it at this stage of the game. Joe's not been able to unland a punch yet that would be considered particularly effective. Already Joe Frazier taking some leather, thinking perhaps of the last time out. The Nassau Coliseum 5.5 years ago, when 5 rounds of punching did him in for what many thought would be the last time. And another clinch, the first of, or rather about the 12th of what will be several hundred perhaps in this fight. The Frazier left hook lashes out, and Cummings mugs at it. It missed. Joe hasn't landed a punch yet that could be considered substantial. Cummings driving Frazier into the ropes. And Frazier is taking some shots, a lot of those landing on elbows. 30 seconds left in round one. Cummings has seemed to follow the approach that if you throw 100 shots, you'll land 50. And he must be approaching that ratio so far. Cummings mugging. Again, Frazier launches the left. And again, it does nothing. Looping around Cummings. The size difference obvious. Joe, very stocky, perhaps even stockier than he used to be. There's the bell, ending round number one. One round of competition back for Joe Frazier, who hadn't seen it for 5.5 years. Jumbo Cummings, if you don't know his history, began at the age of 16. He drove a getaway car in a store robbery. It turned out that the store owner was shot and killed. Jumbo Cummings spent 12 years in prison. The first 6 of those, he was a chronic troublemaker. The last 6 at the Stateville prison in Joliet, Illinois, they introduced something new, a boxing program. And the boss of the barn, as Cummings called himself, quickly took on this. As he put it, it was very natural for him. It's just street fighting, cleaned up a bit. Jumbo Cummings went on to the pro ranks and now sports a record of 17-1. And one loss coming at the hands of Ronaldo Snipes, a fight that made Jumbo Cummings look perhaps as clumsy as he really is against a class boxer. Ronaldo Snipes, of course, went on to challenge Larry Holmes for the title and almost won it. Round 2 underway. Frazier charges out of the ring and throws 2 quick left hooks, neither one of which hits. Cummings answers up. Another left hook. Joe certainly is smoking, but he's not hitting. Again, in close, it's all Cummings. There haven't been that many long-range punches. A few jabs, such as you just saw, but they're feelers. Neither one of these fighters lives or dies with a jab. They're both setting up for the big one. Cummings, we know, has one. He's got 12 knockouts in those 17 wins. Joe Frazier once did. Shots to the body, and a body which, frankly, from this vantage point, looks a little bit soft. Joe Frazier does not look in the shape that he once was. A little touch of fat. Certainly not the impressive physique of Jumbo Cummings. And he's been taking shots to the chin, the ribs, and the stomach, particularly in close. Neither fighter able to open up. Certainly the old Joe Frazier attack is not particularly in evidence. He used to chase men around the ring. He's had no better than perhaps the half of it in this fight as far as aggression. There went the big left hook. Cummings mugs because once again it hit nothing but air. A right uppercut. Joe landed the first real punch of the fight that he's landed, a right uppercut. Ironically, the same punch that did him in when George Foreman fought him the first time, and Joe was never noted for that right hand. Maybe he's learned something in 5.5 years of sparring with Son Marvis. Frazier coming on a bit in round 2 now, landing the first real punches of the fight, but getting a few back in return there. Again in the clinches, the body punches. I think Jumbo Cummings has seen that roll of fat too. He tends to see how much muscle is left underneath it. Joe bobbing, landing a shot to the stomach. But Cummings is still getting the better of it in the clinches. Clinches have constituted about 60% of this fight. Frazier's laid off for a while now. There went the left hook up on the ear. No damage done. Joe does look older. He looks fatter. On sheer physique, there's no question who would win this fight. Ring experience, that's something else again. Some good punches from Cummings. He pushes Frazier across the ring. And still works on that stomach. Then up to the chin, back to the stomach. And there's the bell that ends round 2. A better round for Joe Frazier, but by no means a superb round. And probably once again, Jumbo Cummings' round. Joe Frazier's career, of course, began in Philadelphia when he was working in a meatpacking plant after coming north from his South Carolina childhood. He began boxing. Never showed a tremendous amount of potential, but he showed an awful lot of heart. Ultimately, he got into the Olympic program. For those who don't recall, only that he won the Olympic gold medal, you may forget that, in fact, he lost the Olympic trials back in 1968, or 64, I should say. Lost him to the fellow by the name of Buster Mathis. But in winning that final bout for the Olympic team, Mathis broke his jaw, or rather broke his hand. Frazier got the nod as the alternate, and he went on to win the gold, and later, of course, beat Mathis. Here's round 3, and Joe Frazier certainly smokes out of the corner. He's met Cummings 3/4 of the way across the ring each time. Throwing the left hook, a jab, 2 jabs in succession, and there was a good left hook. The first one Frazier has thrown tonight, a nice left hook. Frazier stumbled a bit, but it was hard to believe that was from a punch. Joe still does the crisscross arm movements, the up and down. Cummings still leaning on him, and for a man of his size, that in itself will have a telling effect eventually. And Joe still takes a lot of leather. One good punch, really, that Frazier's landed, that left hook that you just saw. There was a right uppercut in the second round that did no real damage. And it's hard to say that that one did either. Another shot to the belly. Those body blows by Cummings are bound to have an impact. No visible marks on either man yet.
Let's put your heads down.
Some headshots as Cummings again leans in, belly face, belly face. Cummings has studied about 100 hours of Joe Frazier fights. He thinks he knows the way to beat him. So far he's doing it the same way he's fought most of his fights, leaning on people. Neither fighter's been down. We're in round 3. There was a good shot, a right hand that jolted Joe Frazier's head back. And some more shots. Lefts and rights, and then back into the rope, and more shots to the body. And clearly, Jumbo Cummings has taken early command of this fight. Frazier content to stay on the ropes where once he pinned people. Unlike Muhammad Ali, he does not know the rope-a-dope that well. A nice left jab from Joe Frazier. And a left hook to the ear. And a shot to the chin, a left hook to the chin. Joe Frazier is trying to get his punches in. Jumbo Cummings seems totally unmoved by it so far. We're in round number 3. Joe Frazier and Jumbo Cummings, a wild left hook that left Joe Frazier open for a short right punch. And the short right got through from Jumbo. It's been a wrestling match like this most of the night. 20 seconds left in round 3. Joe Frazier in the purple, Jumbo Cummings in the blue trunks as 3 rounds have now gone by the boards. All 3 would have to be scored for Jumbo Cummings. He's grinning, mugging in his corner. Joe Frazier taking some advice now from his son, the gentleman standing in front of him in the white. Marvis Frazier, undefeated young professional heavyweight. Joe Frazier, after he won the Olympic gold, of course, went on to a professional career. He became an undefeated boxer. He won a world heavyweight championship of his own design by beating Buster Mathis. After that, he fought Jimmy Ellis for the undisputed title after Muhammad Ali had the title stripped away from him. And after that, of course, Joe Frazier knew that he would never be considered the people's champion until he had beaten Muhammad Ali. That set up the big one. Ali Frazier won, and of course it was won on a decision by Joe Frazier. We're into round number 4. Jumbo Cummings and Joe Frazier. And there was a good shot landed. It's hard to believe this one will go 10 rounds. The punch that did end Joe Frazier the first time in his career was a right uppercut from George Foreman. You've seen a few of those thrown tonight by Jumbo Cummings, not a lot. Most of the punches down under have tended to go to the stomach. And I believe Joe Frazier has been hit below the belt. He grimaced, bent over, and now they go back at it. That can be a very debilitating punch, intentional or not. Round 4. Jumbo Cummings and Joe Frazier, Smokin' Joe, trying to make it back and taking a lot of shots. If he can't block a punch from Jumbo Cummings, you have to wonder what he would do against a Larry Holmes, who would have, by this time, I think, jabbed Joe right out of the ring and back into oblivion. Jumbo telegraphs his punches, and yet Joe hasn't gotten the mailgrams very often. And once again, Joe's on the ropes.
Come on, Rob! Break it up!
These men have leaned on each other as much as they've thrown punches. But 80% of the good ones have belonged to Jumbo Cummings. 8 years junior to Joe Frazier. Joe's been game, but he hasn't shown a lot of the ability that once sparked his career to the heavyweight title. Frazier still coming in, shooting punches up as he had to do through most of his career. He's a short heavyweight. There was the left hook that missed again. That one didn't, in close, but not a clean punch. And now Cummings is all over him on the ropes again. Even when Cummings' punches are partially blocked, they are strong punches. And again, the midsection has got to be suspect. Joe Frazier, much to my surprise, appears to have a little bit of a roll around the middle. That could be the muscle of advancing age, and then again, maybe not. 30 seconds left in the round number 4. And so far, it's been almost entirely Jumbo Cummings, hoping this will launch him to a title fight. At the very least, it should earn him a shot with a top 10 ranked fighter. The long reach illustrated there. Cummings leaning out. Oh! Some good punches from both fighters in close. Neither man seems to be affected, and there's the bell. We're into round number 5 very shortly. One of the big questions about Joe Frazier was how much is left inside him. Even when he won the first Ali fight, he was hospitalized for about a week or 2. He lost the second Ali fight. He lost a devastating knockout, about 4 knockdowns to George Foreman in the Bahamas. Then the Thrilla in Manila. The Thrilla in Manila, which of course saw Muhammad Ali knock Joe Frazier senseless after 14 rounds. And then one final fight 5.5 years ago, that one against George Foreman again. A 5th round knockout. As you can see, the corner working over Joe Frazier. His son Marvis, obviously concerned that his father has not shown a great deal so far. Round 5 is coming up. Frazier with a jab. Poking jabs back by Cummings. And there was a tremendous left hook from Joe Frazier. Cummings mugs and throws a good punch right back. Several of them hitting on the chin, then back to the body. Cummings' strategy is quite obvious. Work on that body, work on that body. He likes that jelly belly. And one must say that's how you would describe Joe Frazier from the chest on down. That had to take a lot out of Joe Frazier. He threw one of the thunder hooks, and it didn't seem to do a lot to Jumbo Cummings. Cummings had watched the fight films of Frazier and said, in the later years, the big Frazier left hook wasn't what it used to be. A light left from Joe. Another one. He still believes in it. The left hook that used to lay him out. But he's thrown several tonight. It used to take only one. But Joe can't hit his man. The reflexes aren't gone. Some thought that might be a factor. And now he's getting in some punches. It's hard to tell if they're having any impact on Cummings or if he's just a good actor. He certainly doesn't appear to be hurt. Joe may be coming on more than he was. Quick Tillis, the heavyweight who fought Mike Weaver for the WBA championship. Right cross. Good right cross by Joe Frazier. But again, Cummings' legs as strong as ever. The chin still stuck out. And certainly no indication that he was the least bit bothered by it. Head snapped, but that was it. But certainly Joe Frazier now is beginning to find his range. Quick Tillis, as I was saying, is of the opinion that Jumbo Cummings will run out of gas. Not the old man, but the young man may run out of gas. And something of a warning issued to Jumbo Cummings, holding the back of Joe Frazier's head. Round number 5, Jumbo Cummings and Joe Frazier's big comeback. Feeling around, and another good left hook. But is he trying to knock down a redwood tree with a toy hatchet? They don't seem to be doing the job. And the punches are coming right back now from Jumbo Cummings with 30 seconds left in round 5. Cummings leaning on the ropes, doing a little alley rope-a-dope. He seems unconcerned. So Frazier says, "Come and get me, Jumbo, come and get me." Now Joe taunts Cummings. Joe seems a lot more confident than he was earlier. Bobbing, weaving, grinning, and throws the big left hook. And that one seemed to have an impact. I don't think Jumbo Cummings was acting on that one. 5 rounds are history, and Joe Frazier, who in the beginning was taking a terrible body beating and a few good shots to the head, was missing with the left hook, has suddenly begun to find the range. And you begin to wonder if the tide is turning. Not at all like most people thought it would. Most thought that if Joe had anything left, it would be shown in the early going. And that as time went on, he would tire. It can't be said after 5 rounds that either fighter has tired. But Joe Frazier seems to have shaken off a lot of ring rust in those first 5 rounds. It's only a question now of who is going to land the really big one. It would be very, very hard to believe that this slugfest could possibly go the entire 10 rounds. Jumbo Cummings has never been knocked out. Frazier getting under, trying to get inside. Uppercut. Those are the uppercuts that Cummings has been told to throw. Frazier is supposed to be a sucker for uppercuts. Now back to the body. And in close. And that was a good right cross, a short chopping right from Jumbo Cummings. The waltz goes back on. I don't hear any music. Another left jab from Joe. Now Frazier seems to be holding his own in some of those clinches. The inside punches are about a 50-50 proposition. And they waltz some more. Fighting Jumbo Cummings is not a way to make you look artistic in the ring. Both men expressed great confidence before the fight. And a good Joe Frazier left jab, and he doesn't have the reach on this man. He's been reaching with that jab. Joe Frazier looks as flabby as he can be, but he doesn't act it right now. He's come on in the last 2 rounds. We're in round number 6 of a scheduled 10-rounder. Joe Frazier's attempt to come back. Chopping left inside. He's directly over us now ringside. Joe spins Cummings back into the ropes, and they move back into center ring. The left hook fires again. That was a glancing blow. Two pawing jabs and a good right shot to the belly, back to the head. Some of those punches were landing well on the chin of Joe Frazier. Jumbo Cummings pushes Frazier back into the ropes. Those punches are definitely landing. Joe Frazier's head is snapping. But certainly he couldn't go down now, even if he was in a condition to. Pinned against the ropes by 223 pounds of Jumbo Cummings. Another flashing left jab. By far the better boxer, Joe Frazier, tonight. A flashing left jab. And there was the big left hook. It missed. Cummings isn't mugging as much now. There's a look on his face more of studied attention, one might say, in between periods of perhaps a bit of weariness. 30 seconds are left in round number 6. Many people didn't think it would last this long. But we're well past the halfway point of Joe Frazier's attempt to return as a credible heavyweight. Well, they have to call him credible so far tonight. In the corner, they flail away, and Joe Frazier again in the clinches now for the last several rounds has more than held his own. And that's 6 rounds now, history.
Coming up, round 7, the 7th round.
One big worry about this fight for Joe Frazier fans and friends and family was that he might have suffered brain damage from the beatings he took in his earlier fights. They did brain scans, inspections, found no deterioration of his mental faculties, his reflexes. They claim that physically and mentally, the man is quite fit. Joe Frazier himself makes a compelling, even an eloquent argument that 37 is not all that old. But of course, in the world of boxing, there have been few who have done well much past that age. One thinks back to Jersey Joe Walcott, winning the heavyweight title from Ezra Charles immediately after the post-war era. But perhaps that is really the exception that proves the rule. Joe Frazier tonight and Muhammad Ali coming up, of course, next week. Both bucking terrible odds in comeback attempts. Round number 7 underway. Frazier lands the first shot. Cummings lands the next one. There was a glancing left hook. Not a completely solid punch, but solid enough. And Frazier obviously knows what he wants. He does not want a decision. He wants a knockout. Possibly some puffiness underneath the left eye of Joe Frazier, but it's difficult to tell. Still pawing greatly at each other. And Joe leaps in with another left hook. And that seemed to drive Jumbo Cummings back a bit. When they get in the clinches, it's now gone to more or less half and half in terms of advantage. At long range, though, Joe Frazier's looked pretty good. Certainly reflexes are not a problem. Endurance will have to be at age 37. Ring experience, no question about that. Joe Frazier by a mile, assuming he hasn't forgotten anything. But Frazier on the stalk now. The man looks like he meant it when he said he could take this heavyweight division apart. Few doubt that Joe Frazier could have done it in his prime. And now it's slug and slug back again. Rights and rights, back and forth. And there went the Frazier left hook in again. He doesn't seem to have the wild abandon of the left hook that we recall that knocked down Muhammad Ali in the 15th round of their first fight, but still a formidable punch. And there, 3 quick shots from Jumbo Cummings, and that didn't do Joe Frazier a bit of good either. Fighting in flurries now a great deal. Right hand from Frazier that is blocked. And once again, may I have this dance. Joe still likes to paw away at the opposing fighter's jab. I remember how many times he did that against Muhammad Ali in their 3 fights, batting that jab away. Cummings back to the tactic that worked in the beginning. Belting him in the stomach. But the hand behind the neck is no. That's not allowed. 30 seconds are left in round number 7. 10-rounder, Joe Frazier. Doesn't look ready for Larry Holmes yet, but he has certainly been more than ready for one Jumbo Cummings tonight. There was a tremendous left hook. Now that one had to be felt. A tremendous left hook from Joe Frazier, flush on the chin. And the jabs, he means it, folks. And Joe is happy in his corner. Jumbo sort of strolls back to his duel.
8th round. This will be a round 8.
3 rounds are left, 7 done. If it should go to a decision, at this stage it would have to go to Joe Frazier, I think. who's come back from being back behind in the early going. One still finds it difficult to believe that these two bangers could possibly go that route. Of Joe Frazier's 32 victories, by far the vast majority, somewhere in the late 20s probably, were knockouts. 12 of Jumbo Cummings' 17 victories have been knockouts. Giving instructions to Jumbo Cummings in his corner. Meanwhile, back in Joe Frazier's corner, the mood seems a little bit more exultant, or at least expectant, than it was earlier. Son Marvis, himself an undefeated heavyweight prospect. Round 8 now gets underway. Marvis watches Dad go out and land another one of those jabs. And Joe's been throwing the big leather. Jumbo really hasn't thrown a devastating punch in quite a while. The left hook missed again from Frazier. The Jumbo's been throwing a lot of good, solid punches in combinations. That Joe hasn't done him a great deal tonight. But Joe never was much of a combination puncher anyway. Joe was the big punch. And he's thrown some of them tonight. Round 8. A good right uppercut from Cummings. That was a solid one. Cummings is backing Frazier up now with some good body punches and shots to the head. Frazier fighting back with a good left hook to the jaw that temporarily stopped that press into the ropes. It's certainly the best flurry by Jumbo Cummings in 2 or 3 rounds. Frazier with another good jab, not as crisp as his earliers, but a solid jab nonetheless. Now they're trading the body blows, and that's one place where Joe's not going to win. Frazier pinned to the ropes, not his accustomed position in fights. For years he pinned him into the ropes. That hand behind the head is going to cost Jumbo Cummings some points. Another good right uppercut, followed up by some other punches, and those are landing. And Jumbo Cummings is all over Joe Frazier. Frazier is leaning on and holding on. And Cummings senses this could be it. He's right over us, pummeling Joe Frazier. Frazier pushed back into the ropes, taking a lot of body shots, trying to fight back, but taking the worst of it. Maybe the endurance factor has finally entered in. Cummings has Frazier pinioned to the ropes, leaning on him. And finally they break out. Headlocks don't count, Jumbo. Blood coming out of Joe Frazier's mouth. He used to bleed from the mouth a good deal in the alley fights. He doesn't cut around the eyes much. He lumps and pulps a lot, but 30 seconds left now in round number 8. Jumbo Cummings has come back strongly in this round. A series of punches that blew Joe Frazier into the ropes. And that's where Joe finds himself once again right now. He was looking good in the middle round, landing the big left hook. 8 rounds are down, and now they go to work on that cut-up mouth of Joe Frazier. Son Marvis. Gotta be rough for a kid. Watch his dad injured like that. The ice pack goes on the left side, so I think my earlier observation about the puffiness was quite correct under Joe Frazier's left eye. It's been a 3-part fight so far. About the first 3 rounds, Jumbo Cummings doing a lot of body shots. There came after that a sudden resurgence of Joe Frazier's spotted left hook and a snappy left jab. And it looked like through about round 7 that Joe Frazier was on the comeback trail. Round 8 changed that rather abruptly and dramatically. As a series of punches from Jumbo Cummings blasted Joe Frazier into the ropes directly over us, where he pummeled him for a good 30 to 40 seconds. Joe emerged with a good deal of blood coming from the mouth. So the fight has gone in ebbs and tides. Round 9 is underway. We'll see if Cummings can keep it up or if Frazier can come back. There was a good right hand. Joe Frazier never used to throw much in the way of rights, but that one surely connected. Joe Frazier has lost none of his ring savvy, maybe picked up a few things along the way. He can't rely on the brute strength anymore. There went the left hook, but to no avail. And through it all, it seems to be Frazier missing. An occasional jab snakes out from Jumbo Cummings, but he's not done a lot in this round. Apparently, he doesn't think he has his man softened up to move in. Into the body by Cummings. Frazier goes up top. Definite puffiness under Joe Frazier's left eye now, but no vision problem, no cut. Cummings seems to be toying now, certainly not looking for the big punch, or if he is, he's not throwing any. Maybe Cummings thinks he's far enough ahead. A shaky proposition at best in this round 8. See shadows of the old Joe Frazier, but not consistently. Certainly in his prime, he would have put a Jumbo Cummings away in 3 rounds. No marks readily visible on Jumbo Cummings. Frazier again just took a good right, chopping right to the temple. Frazier left hook, more of a slap than a punch. Frazier, on the other hand, somewhat marked, blood around the mouth and a puppy eye. Cummings seems to be waiting for something. I'm not sure what it is. But Frazier at least ought to get an A for effort in this round, even if not everything is landing. There went the big right cross. That one also a glancing blow, no damage. Oh, a good solid left hook, and that shook Jumbo Cummings' head back with a snap. Into the body, both fighters going at the body. Cummings the first one to elevate to the jaw again. Joe Frazier, whatever else he's proven tonight, certainly knows he has the left hook still. Not as devastating, but there. About 20 seconds left in round number 8. And some more blood somewhere. That ends round number 8, and there is a lot of blood somewhere.
To the 10th and final round.
My correction, round number 10 coming up. That was the 9th round. A big burst of blood came down Joe Frazier's right arm just as that round ended. But where it came from is not immediately clear. We're trying to see if it's anything from Jumbo Cummings at this point. They very cleverly use red towels, so you can't tell much in the way of a psychological advantage from that. Joe Frazier's white towel, somewhat bloodied, but not a great deal more than it had been for a couple of 3 rounds. 9 rounds we have gone, and the 10th and final round is coming up. I'm sure neither fighter thought it would last this long. Both said they were prepared to go this long, and indeed so they have been. Not an artistic fight. Jumbo Cummings probably fighting at about his ability level right now. Joe Frazier, not quite the man he once was. This is it. All the marbles. See if anybody can land the big one. Although both may be too tired at this stage. Some big punches inside. Frazier and Cummings wailing away at each other. A shower of perspiration spraying across the ring. These two men weigh about 450 pounds put together, and they have been put together for 9 big rounds. This is round number 10. Back to the belly, up to the shoulder. The Cummings punch landed on the shoulder. Frazier's punch wasn't much better. No one's thrown the really big leather. Neither man has been even close to being down. The best flurry of the fight, probably in round number 8. And Cummings had Frazier pinned against the ropes for some time. Oh, a tremendous shot. A right hand. Another one from Cummings on to Frazier. Frazier throwing leather right back, though, with his left. A left jab. The mouth bleeding is there again. But Cummings jolted Frazier. This could be a very decisive round. Each man's had his moments in this fight. Judges remember 10th round. backing up a little bit, and then inside with another left hook. But it didn't have a lot of steam on it. Neither fighter's had a lot of steam on his punches at this stage of the game. A jolting right uppercut. Certainly Jumbo Cummings has landed that enough times. Hasn't done the trick, but he did study his homework well. The same punch. Now Frazier's leaning in on Cummings. They're wailing away at each other. Frazier up against the ropes, looking very, very tired, perhaps a little older than he used to. And Cummings, it's a little bit fresher than he used to. Both of Joe's eyes rather puffy now. The Frazier courage certainly hasn't left him. Joe's still swinging at everything he can see moving. And see he still can. The eyes aren't that closed. Even a little dancing there from Frazier. The 10th round comes to an end. His first fight back. And he has acquitted himself well, win or lose. We've got 30 seconds left in this fight. They're leaning on each other now. I don't think either man can knock the other over with a crowbar at this stage. Leaning all over each other. Cummings leaning up against the ropes. Frazier back on him. And that's it, folks. We're going to have a decision. And they are hugging each other. Joe Frazier and the man he inspired to a boxing career, Jumbo Cummings. Cummings used to watch Frazier when Frazier was an up-and-comer. And Cummings was just another inmate in the Stateville Correctional Center in Joliet, Illinois. Jumbo Cummings used to worship the man. Tonight he tried to beat the daylights out of him. One would have to say Cummings on the first part of the fight and the last part of the fight. In between, Joe Frazier had to be the man. And I would honestly say that I don't believe this is by any means a decision that will be all that lopsided. There's the bell. And they are tallying up the ballots. This is on the 10-point must system. Winner of a round gets 10 points. Loser gets 9 or fewer. And again, Joe Frazier had the middle rounds. The beginning and the end probably belong more to Jumbo Cummings. The crowd, of course, is milling all around the stadium right now, the ring. Each fighter getting into his robe. Well, I should say one is. Joe Frazier is still out of his robe. He's gone over to shake hands with Jumbo Cummings. Jumbo reciprocates. They had their share of pre-fight babbling at each other, but they clearly do respect and like each other. Particularly Jumbo Cummings. After all, he just beat up on a hero tonight for 10 rounds. Here it is, ladies and gentlemen.
Ladies and gentlemen, here is the official decision that's scored by the judges and referee, Judge Collins Brown, 46, a draw.
I told you it was close.
Referee Nate Morgan, 46, 45, Cummings.
Cummings has one vote now.
And Judge Harold Maravich, 47, the decision, a draw.
2 out of 3 votes, a draw. It is a draw. Joe Frazier has the first draw of his career. Incredible. A draw after all of that hoopla, all the worry. Would Joe Frazier be pounded into dust? Would Smokin' Joe come back? And it ends in a draw. One judge did vote for 1 point for Cummings. That was the referee. But that doesn't count, although you could say he has the majority in that regard. The other two split even, but they don't work it that way. 2 out of 3 said it was a draw, and therefore it is a draw. So Joe Frazier's record now goes to 32, 4, and 1. Jumbo Cummings goes to a record of 17, 1, and 1. That's it.
and Larry Merchant.
For the next hour or so, 12 to 15 rounds, we're going to preview the greatest show on earth, a major heavyweight championship fight, Mike Tyson versus Michael Spinks.
I'm Jim Lampley, and I'll be reporting on how this fight was made and how it compares as a public event with another battle between undefeated heavyweight champions that took place nearly 2 decades ago.
And I'm Sugar Ray Leonard, and I'll be with the only common opponent of both fighters, former heavyweight champion Larry Holmes, as we discuss and demonstrate the styles of each fighter.
Joining us, Donald Trump, the tycoon who helped bankroll the show, and experts who analyze the fight and the issues surrounding it. Can the slugger, the champion Mike Tyson, keep from getting boxed? Can the boxer, the challenger Michael Spinks, keep from getting slugged? Basic questions about the most basic sport. But this time the answers will come in your basic, once-in-a-decade heavyweight extravaganza. We won't get the real answer, of course, until June 27th. But the point of such dramas is the anticipation and the speculation that we all want to be a part of. Just making this fight, a fight of this enormous magnitude, was a major fight itself, as Jim Lampley reports.
The Leroy Neiman painting, commissioned by Donald Trump to commemorate the first combative moments of Tyson Spinks, will, upon completion, have required about 3 days of the artist's creative energy. But the fight itself, on the canvas of Atlantic City, is a mural wrought over nearly 2 years of work from a palette of ego, insult, posturing, and legal wrangling, unprecedented even in the business of boxing.
Actually, the making of the Tyson-Spinks fight did definitely begin when Mike entered the heavyweight series, because at that time Spinks was the IBF champion.
There were 3 heavyweight champions when HBO created a unification series aimed at ultimately producing 1 heavyweight champion. The series received its biggest boost in August 1986, when boxing's newest sensation, Mike Tyson, came aboard. 3 months later, he too would become a champion of the world, moving 1 step closer to the expected series finale, a meeting with then IBF champion Michael Spinks. But trouble loomed ahead.
We hear reports that you have already agreed to fight Gerrie outside of the tournament, that you might be making an announcement soon. Would you comment on that?
Well, let me say this, Larry. If I ever fought Gerrie, contractually, my contract with HBO allows me to do so. Right. So if that came about, I will make an announcement soon.
Would you fight him outside?
Contractually, we always been allowed.
Right, but
don't act like I can't do it, Larry. I'm allowed to do it.
Yes, HBO agreed that Butch Lewis could try to make a match between Michael Spinks and Gerrie, provided Cooney would agree to remain a part of the unification series should he win the fight. But Cooney refused to accept such a stipulation, thereby jeopardizing HBO's goal of unifying the heavyweight championship. The lines were now drawn for a battle between Butch Lewis and HBO, not in the ring, but in this courthouse in Lower Manhattan. And amid the confusion, Spinks was stripped of his IBF world title for refusing to make a match with then #1 contender Tony Tucker. With no title, a judge then ruled that Spinks was no longer contractually bound to the HBO series, clearing the way for Spinks-Cooney in June 1987.
It was titled The War at the Shore, and winning by a 5th-round knockout, Michael Spinks declared himself the people's champion, but he would be forced to take a back seat as he watched Tyson complete his collection of championship belts.
For the new WBA, WBC heavyweight champion of the world, Iron Mike Tyson. For the winner by unanimous decision and undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, Iron Mike Tyson.
For the first time in almost 9 years, boxing had 1 recognized heavyweight champion, yet the public was not satisfied.
You know, anytime I walk the streets, people come up to me and say, when is your fight Spinks? When you fight Spinks? And it became very annoying all the time.
Finally, at the Tyson-Holmes fight, Tyson managers felt the time was ripe for a showdown with Michael Spinks. But dealing with Butch Lewis would be difficult. According to Tyson's co-manager, the late Jim Jacobs, Working a promotion with Butch Lewis is a torturous, agonizing experience, a horror. When the two sides were unable to come to terms, Jacob's friend Shelley Finkel volunteered as mediator.
I don't know if it was problems or just a difference of where the dollars were as to what Bill Caton and Jim Jacobs had felt Michael Spinks and his party should get, as opposed to what Butch Lewis felt his party should get, and they were several $1 million apart.
Weeks later, both sides came to an agreement, thus setting up the biggest money fight in boxing history.
I've been involved in boxing for a great many years, and I've never known a fight as complicated or with all of the ramifications of this fight.
With me now in the studio is Jim Lampley. Jim, whatever one thinks of Butch Lewis and his tactics, it certainly has come out that he's pulled off a tremendous coup.
Well, indeed, Larry, I think to understand the long career of Michael Spinks in the ring, you have to pay close attention to the remarkable degree of loyalty that he has exhibited for Butch Lewis and vice versa. Look at the confrontational style of Butch Lewis and some of the strange things that the two of them have done together, and you might wonder from time to time, well, why? Here's a great example of why. They will take home a great deal more money for this fight than would have been the case had they stayed within the confines of the HBO tournament.
Has Butch Lewis in the process communicated to his fighter that Mike Tyson is a guy to be feared?
I don't think it's that big a factor, because I think that of all the fighters today, perhaps none is more forthright and honest with himself and with the rest of the world about the degree of fear he carries into the ring than Michael Spinks. And if you're going to fight someone about whom you might be worried, you might as well get as many dollars for it as you possibly can.
Changing over, Jim, you and I, a couple of months ago in Los Angeles, attended the funeral of Jimmy Jacobs. Nobody could have foreseen the ramifications of this tragic death. What does this do to the promotion now?
Well, what's interesting is that maybe the greatest irony surrounding the fight, and there are many, is that it might not have taken place at the time at which it is taking place had not Jimmy Jacobs taken a turn for the worse. I think we can all agree to and accept the fact now that Jimmy wanted to see this fight take place within his lifetime, and consequently the deal was hustled along. And he won't get a chance to see it. We will, partially because he was ill.
Jim, we'll see you then later. Primarily, the death of Jimmy Jacobs following the marriage of Mike Tyson set off a love, power, and money struggle that may actually affect the fight. The fascinating saga of the Boy King continues. At 9 years old, the future that he has already realized would have been inconceivable for Mike Tyson. From the streets of to a juvenile delinquent school in upstate New York, Mike Tyson was more apt to become a criminal than a champion. In 1980, however, at the age of 13, he first displayed the interest and power to be a boxer, and he was introduced to legendary trainer Cus D'Amato. A father-son relationship developed and the birth of a great fighter.
I don't know if it's born to be a champion, but I have that in mind, but I'm at least born to be a fighter.
By 15, he was already known for his quick and paralyzing knockout punch, such as only 9 seconds in the first round of his junior Olympic championship. As an amateur, he was exciting. As a pro, devastating.
But a fellow with this type of competitive spirit, plus the knowledge that he has gained and the punching power, I can't see him lose.
But he wouldn't see enough. Cus D'Amato, the most influential person in Tyson's life, died shortly after his 10th pro fight.
Cus always strived. He said you could be the champ, even at a young age. And I believed him. I developed that kind of confidence in him. And he has made it, that was the destiny, no matter whatever happened. And he's discussed times that he wasn't feeling well and he doesn't think he's going to be around. But he said no matter what, the job must go on.
Over the next 21 months, that destiny was achieved. Tyson became the youngest heavyweight champion in history. And
my mission is to go and destroy and not to let anything get involved. If you get punched, you get hurt. I refuse to be hurt, knocked down, and knocked out. I can't lose. I refuse to lose.
Along with fame and fortune came the bliss of marriage and expected fatherhood, and also some problems. They began in March when Tyson's co-manager, Jim Jacobs, died of leukemia. Jacobs had not only become a big brother figure, but the champion's foremost protector.
When Jimmy was around, nobody wanted to come around me because it was forbidden to even come around me. Jimmy wasn't allowed. Now everybody wants to come around me and say, oh, I can do this for you, I can help you this way.
Since Jacobs' death, conflict has arisen behind the scenes. Is the new Mrs. Tyson and or Don King trying to lure him away from his longtime manager, Bill Caton?
Situations which occur here is really not a problem. Everyone else makes bigger issues than what they really are. You know what I mean? Don King's not my manager. Bill Caton's my manager. Will always be my manager as long as I'm fighting. Don King's my promoter.
There's a downside to his celebrity. For example, this story about a car accident said to have occurred during a domestic quarrel with his wife.
If something gets out of hand, I guess it gets put in the paper. You know what I mean? People are so ludicrous. They're out of their mind. You just have to look at the statements. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? It's unbelievable.
Whatever the case, at this point in time, Mike Tyson should have only one thing in mind: Michael Spinks. But is that the case?
And I believe in my mind I'm the only one that's level-headed. Everybody else is losing their mind. Everybody else is paranoid. And even whatever I do, it's going to be my decision. Because I break my leg, we all stop getting paid. And even though we're friends, the main issue here is money. This is a business. Everybody wants to make money. Don't care if I have 50 million in the bank or 20 million. Everyone could always use a dollar.
Where Mike Tyson grew up in Brooklyn, these would be considered happy, unbelievably happy problems. But the boy King has had to become a man in a hurry to cope with the real world outside the ring. This isn't kid stuff. Mike Tyson insists that he be buffeted about by the winds of the war surrounding him. We have a couple of men who might give us some insights into that situation. Phil Berger of the New York Times, who broke the original story of this split-up, and Jose Torre, the former light heavyweight champion, former boxing commissioner of the state of New York, currently an author. Phil, what are the dynamics of this situation? Who wants what?
What you have here is a manager, Bill Caton, who very early on after Jim Jacobs' death felt that moves were being made on Mike Tyson, the fighter, by Don King, the promoter. And as other players have been drawn into that, and that's been Tyson's wife, Robin Givens, and her mother, Ruth. And their attorney, Michael Winston, has also become a new player in the situation.
This is certainly nothing new in boxing.
No, it reminds me 10 years ago when I first began covering boxing of the Leon Spinks situation. He was being buffeted, as you said before, by various factions trying to control him. And at the time, the Playboy piece I did on him had an illustration of Spinks with 1,000 different strings, a kind of puppet being manipulated and pulled and tugged at. And you could almost do the same thing with Mike Tyson. You could put his head on that body, and you'd have a very good illustration of what's going on right now.
Jose, you were a disciple of the great Customato. You're a confidant of Mike Tyson. How is he being affected by this?
I think he has to be affected because at this stage, Tyson's head is very important for his job.
Something that Cus stressed very much, more than most trainers.
Exactly. And I think that, although I think that 30% of Tyson can beat 100% of Spinks, what would happen if he comes in with 25%? That has me very concerned.
So you're saying that this could be enough of a distraction that he loses his focus for this fight, and while worrying about a few percentage points here and there, he might blow the whole thing.
I would not be surprised if Butch Lewis could be a little bit behind all this stuff.
So it might benefit Michael Spinks, you're saying. Phil, are we going to have a real eruption among these contending forces soon?
Well, I think there's going to be a fight after the fight, but I'm getting the sense from talking to the players in this situation that things are going to be happening and the situation will be mushrooming over the couple of weeks leading into the fight. We haven't seen the last of this conflict.
As a confidant of Mike Tyson, what have you been telling him, Jose?
I've been telling him to dedicate himself to training and to winning fights. And he promised me that he would do that.
Thank you so much, Phil and Jose. Big money and big problems go together like horse and carriage. Michael Spinks has been finding ways to deal with big problems and big guys, if not big money, all of his life.
Michael Spinks isn't an ordinary fighter.
I don't want to go home. I don't want to go. I don't want to go here. I know y'all thought I was cracking up, eh?
His style is intelligently unorthodox. His approach to life, as well as boxing, is unusually open-minded. The combination has brought him to the top of his profession.
As a kid, I did a lot of things a certain way, and a lot of things didn't work out. So when I did try to do something a little different, I learned that it works better.
He learned a lot in the ghettos of St. Louis. An older brother, Leon, would beat someone up. The victim frequently sought vengeance against the smaller Michael. Eventually, they both became fighters, and in 1976, they became the first brothers to win gold medals in the same Olympics. In 1981, after taking time off to help his brother, Michael became light heavyweight champion. 2 years later, he had to deal with the death part of life. Suddenly, he was a single parent.
When Michelle would ask me where's her mommy, where's Sandy? And right then and there, I couldn't hold on, and I would break down. That was more difficult for me to deal with than anything else.
2 months after the tragedy, Spinks went through what was his hardest fight until then. He defeated the dangerous Dwight Braxton to become the undisputed light heavyweight champion. But for the real big bucks, like all light heavyweights through history, he would have to fight a heavyweight, the dominant heavyweight champion Larry Holmes. But since no light heavyweight champion had ever won the heavyweight title, Spinks chose to move up in weight through an unorthodox training program.
I feel well equipped for what I have to do so far. And I know, I mean, as weeks pass or days go by, I'm getting better. I'm getting stronger. I'm feeling better.
At 200 hard pounds, Michael Spinks was a legitimate heavyweight. But when the bell rang, it was his heart and skill that really mattered most. In one of boxing's big upsets, Spinks ended Larry Holmes' 7-year reign. He won by a unanimous decision.
You can't ever succeed in life or ever do anything in your life if you don't try. So I said, I'm going to try.
The creation of the Heavyweight Unification Series brought Holmes and Spinks together again. 6 months later, the rematch was held. Spinks again was the underdog, and again the winner, this time in a very controversial decision. In the last 2 years, he has only fought twice, a total of 9 rounds. Here in the 4th round knockout of Stephen Tankstead, followed by another KO of a lumbering giant, Gerrie, which is why some supporters still see Spinks as the champion. His record, 31-0. Tyson's 34-0.
June 27th will be a very sad day for anybody. It's a must that someone's oath must go, mine or his.
Once upon a time, there were 2 other unbeaten heavyweight champions, and they gave us a fight that was, for most of us, indeed the greatest show on earth. Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier. Jim Lampley steps into that time machine.
Every now and then, the slow commerce of boxing endows a fight with an urgency, a sense of being overdue that raises it to a level of public spectacle unique among sports events. The man on the street need not be a daily reader of sports pages to understand the impact of a confrontation between 2 fighters, both of them unbeaten, both of them claiming to be heavyweight champion of the world. It's true of Tyson Spinks. It was unforgettably true 17 years ago when here in Madison Square Garden, for the first of 3 times, Muhammad Ali faced off against Joe Frazier.
The anticipation of Tyson Spinks is indeed reminiscent of Ali Frazier I, still regarded by many as the greatest of heavyweight spectacles. Like Tyson Spinks, this was a battle of 2 undefeated fighters in their primes. The champion, short in stature, who threw all his punches with an intent to kill, and his opponent, a great boxer, who despite having had his title stripped by the political powers of boxing, still considered himself champion.
Impact of Ali Frazier I drew on the 3.5-year exile that Ali had to endure because of the Vietnam draft problem. And that he was coming back against a fighter who had succeeded him at least in record and with the title. And that was the magic of the fight.
Such magic began with personalities. Frazier, the good guy, the quiet family man, the champion of the establishment. The controversial Ali was the anti-establishment champion. Handsome, funny, free-thinking, always outrageous.
Man, you wait till I get Joe Frazier. I'm gonna straighten all this mess out, Mr. Commissioner. You ain't gonna be confused after this fight.
When I whoop you, the thing about it, see, you might don't be able to talk. You won't be you. When a man laying out, you don't see a man laying out.
Never had 2 fighters stirred such compelling excitement. In no time, transforming a title fight into a major cultural event.
It was the greatest thing that I have ever seen. It's the greatest event. It was judged to be the greatest event ever held in any one of the 4 Madison Square Gardens. It was everything. It was an Easter parade. It was a New Year's Eve. It was the St. Patrick's Day parade. It was all those things put into one.
After the fight's over and Frazier has caught hell, I'm gonna jump over the rope and finish Coetzee.
As the fight drew near, it was hard at times to figure out who was having more fun, the fans or the fighters.
You know what, I was thinking I better send you a couple of my sparring partners because you ain't got nothing down there like me.
Oh man, I can beat you singing too. Yes, I can. I can hold a note better than you and everything. I heard you on television singing. No kidding, everybody talk about you can't sing.
I'll see you later, eh? I'll see you later, chump.
Finally, the evening the boxing world had waited for. The city of New York was electric. Outside of Madison Square Garden, the $150 ringside tickets, a record at that time, were easily being scalped for upwards of $500. Inside, the garden rocked with anticipation. The public address announcer said it best when he said, "No celebrities will be announced this evening. Everyone is here."
It was a great feeling that night. The expectation of a great fight, and it lived up to every expectation. The people that were there, I saw so many people from the cinema, from the actors were there. Everybody was there. Neiman was doing his sketching, God love him, and it was a great night. And let me tell you, I've lived through those nights many, many times with Muhammad Ali, but that first night was an exceptional night.
The fight itself was even greater than its height. 15 rounds of pure theater. Puncher versus boxer. Ordinary guy versus superstar. The deciding punch was a tremendous left, which put Ali on the canvas, remarkably, for only a moment. But on this evening, Joe Frazier was the better fighter. The build-up and then the fight left an indelible impression on the history of boxing.
Jim Lampley is back with us again. Jim, that was such an extraordinary event. The times, Ali, the greatest entertainer we've ever seen in boxing, or perhaps in all of sport. 2 great young heavyweight champions. Can this fight approach that?
Well, I think you touch on the most important contrast, which is the times in which that fight took place. That was the apex of an era of political involvement, political activism in this country, a kind of mindset that simply doesn't exist right now. And Ali was a political figure, let's face it. Neither Michael Spinks nor Mike Tyson has risen to that level. On the other hand, there's a different appeal here. Tyson is the knockout artist, and I think the public has a fascination with the destroyer, the knockout artist. it didn't exist in the same way with Frazier and Ali, and that's the essence of this fight's appeal.
There was, for a lot of people who had been polarized by the times and by Ali, a good versus evil aspect of that confrontation, which there isn't now. Can this fight really live up to the event?
Oh, I think it can, in the sense that there is the chance for an enormous upset here. The public seems to believe in overwhelming numbers that Tyson has an easy match, that he will knock Spinks out. So I think that a competitive fight in which Michael Spinks establishes himself as a real contender to take Tyson's 3 crowns away could raise this event to the level of drama that Ali Frazier enjoyed.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank
we'll
you.
see you at ringside. You've no doubt heard about all the money this fight will generate. Where is it coming from, and how will it be distributed? Glad you asked.
The demand for tickets has been unparalleled. I mean, 11 weeks before the fight, we had sold more dollar value tickets than for any fight in history.
From every indication and every pre-sale at this point, the Tyson-Spinks fight will be the biggest fight in history.
A fight like Tyson-Spinks happens every 10, 20, maybe not even every 10 or 20 years. It's an event. It's not just obviously a boxing match.
Lots of money indeed. Tyson and Spinks are expected to generate close to $70 million. After taxes and expenses, $40 million will be the remaining gross to be divided between the Tyson and Spinks camps, and then the fight and closed-circuit promoters. Here's where that $40 million comes from. The site, Trump Casino in Atlantic City. The bill to Donald Trump, $11 million, a record by far. Revenues from closed-circuit, pay-per-view, and foreign sales. After expenses, somewhere in the neighborhood of $25 million. Diet Pepsi, as part of a huge deal with Tyson, was happy to pay $1.25 million to have its name and logo synonymous with Tyson Spinks. And the delayed television rights to broadcast the fight will add another $3 million to the existing pot. It's not hard to see that an event such as this is among the biggest of big businesses. And here's how that $40 million will be divided. According to his management, the Tyson camp should receive an estimated $22 million, maybe even more, because he's the champion. The Spinks camp is getting the challenger's guaranteed share of $13.5 million. Don King will receive $3 million, out of which he's responsible for expenses. And depending on how big the theatrical revenues are, closed-circuit promoter Shelley Finkel can make upwards of $1.5 million. All of the money makes Tyson versus Spinks richer even than the most expensive piece of art.
How much will the fighters actually get? Well, after his management and the IRS take their cuts, Spinks will clear roughly $5 million, give or take. Tyson should clear $9 million, plus $5 million or so from a sponsor connected with the event. Which brings us to another money machine, Donald Trump. Donald, how could you have outbid Las Vegas by millions of dollars when they have so much experience in these type of events to put on this championship fight?
I don't think I outbid them by millions of dollars. I think they probably would have paid what I paid or more. As it turned out, it was a pretty good deal. It's turned out to be a much bigger event, I think, than I thought it was going to be when we actually bid the fight. This event has turned out to be a monster, as you very well know. But with Atlantic City, you have New York, you have New Jersey, you have Washington, you have so many different places. Philadelphia, which is a great fight city. And you just get more people. Plus, I believe that I have the most beautiful arena in the world. The hall that we have to stage this fight is far greater than anything in Las Vegas.
Are people really willing to spend $1,500 for ringside, or are they just being given those tickets?
Well, it's been sold out. I mean, this fight has been sold out from almost the beginning of the fight. And you probably have seen the stories where actually, if I priced the seats higher, in this particular case, I would have done fine. And, you know, it gets to a point where do you stop? But this has been just a tremendous phenomenon. It's been really a great experience.
You live in a world of high rollers and high livers. Is there anything quite like a heavyweight championship fight of this dimension for the excitement it brings to you, personally?
I don't think, and I get involved in a lot of different events, not only in sports, but in other things, and I don't think I've ever been involved in anything that's been so exciting as this particular fight. I went and I attended the Ali-Frazier fight, the original one. That was, to this day, the single most exciting thing probably that I've ever done, beyond sports, beyond anything else. I mean, that was really an exciting evening. There's nothing like a great, great championship fight, heavyweight fight, and here you have two undefeated champions. I think it's going to be fantastic.
What is the potential fallout at the gaming tables in your casinos from a spectacle like this?
Well, it's very substantial if it all works out like we anticipated to work out. The tables are just packed with people, and they come from all over the world, and some of them are very, very extraordinarily wealthy. And with the Holmes fight as an example, where Larry Holmes fought Mike Tyson, it was a phenomenal evening. It was $15 million, and that was...
You made $15 million at
well,
the table.
essentially over a short period of time, probably in excess of that. And that was a fight that was a relatively inexpensive fight that turned out to be much bigger as an event than people thought. So we were really happy, and this one should be just a monster.
Thanks so much, Donald Trump. Money, money, money. Now let's get to the fight, fight, fight. Two guys who fought a lot and made a lot. Sugar Ray Leonard, who himself overcame long odds a year ago, and Larry Holmes, who fought both Spinks and Tyson, have some insights on the fight. Who better?
Larry, if there was anyone that's more familiar with the styles of Michael Spinks and Mike Tyson, that would be you, big guy.
You're right, Ray. I did fight Michael Spinks twice, and I fought Michael Tyson. Even though the fights did not go as I wanted them to go, I still found a lot of interesting things.
Well, it's no big secret the way Mike Tyson fights. As you take a look here with his fight against Pinkman Thomas.
Right here with Pinkman Thomas, Mike Tyson do not give him any room at all. And when I found, in my experience of fighting Mike Tyson, he throws punches with both hands. He's very quick, he's very determined, and he never stops. And this is one of the problems that Michael Spinks is going to have. He's got to be ready for this fight.
Larry, you just talked about the hand speed and the power of Mike Tyson. Let's talk Michael Spinks now. What should Spinks do to neutralize that? For instance, I'm Mike Tyson. It's going to be kind of tough, but I'll try anyway. What should Spinks be doing at this point here?
I think Spinks got to do the things he's been doing. He got to use his jab, giving this guy angles, moving side to side, and then come in here and tie him up when he gets close. Referee break it, push him off, and come back and do the same thing. Come in with his flurries like this, and then get on out like that. And then if he gets in trouble again, tie him up. That's what he got to do all night.
Okay, Larry. Talking about Michael Spinks, let's take a look and see what makes him so special.
I wouldn't say special, Ray. I would say awkward. Michael Spinks is very awkward. Mike Tyson has to be ready for that. Spinks gives you the angles, he moves side to side, he throws punches when you least expect him to throw them. And Tyson got to be ready for that.
Larry, Michael Spinks is awkward, but he calls it unique. And I found out through my own personal experience in the ring, dealing with the awkward fighter, it was quite difficult. Now for a young Mike Tyson, what should he do to contend with that unique style of Michael Spinks? This time, Larry, I'll be Michael Spinks.
What he's got to do, Ray, is the same thing that he's been doing all the time. Just go to the body, back Michael Spinks, back up against the rope. Just keep going, use the ring, cut him off, and then eventually that right hand will land. That's what he's got to do to Michael Spinks.
Okay, Larry, we talked about the strong points. Let's concentrate now on the weak areas.
You got it. One of the things I noticed about Mike Tyson, he leaps in, and when he leaps in, he's vulnerable for a left uppercut. And Michael Spinks throws a good left uppercut. And another thing, as you see me fighting here, Mike Tyson sometimes get to be flat-footed, and if you get up on your toes and use that jab, he's very vulnerable to that too. Ray, Mike Tyson is not as strong inside as people think he is, because when he got inside, I was able to tie him up just like that, and I was able to turn it. If Spinks can do that, he can land right hands and left hooks on that. And I think that would be really good for Michael Spinks if he can do that.
But you know, Larry, I also found out that at times, Tyson has a tendency to put both feet together, and in doing so, he's off balance. So a little push, he's off balance. Tell you what, let's take a look at Michael Spinks' weakness also.
One of Mike Spinks' weaknesses is his weakness. He's not strong at all. He throws a lot of punches, but those punches don't really hurt you. And if you don't hurt Mike Tyson will run over you. And when he gets tired, he's got a tendency of dropping his left, and that's when you can come over with a right hand, as you see right there. If Mike Tyson hit him, it would be good night, Irene.
Okay, Larry, we had an opportunity to look at the strengths and weaknesses of both fighters. What's your total observation of this fight?
Well, I think Mike Tyson's going away. You got to stay on top of Mike Spinks, throw his punches, trap him, put him up against the rope, and do what he know how to do.
Okay, Larry, the intangibles with both fighters. First of all, Michael Spinks, he's been inactive for over a year. Will there be a problem?
Yeah, that would hurt him. I don't care what nobody says. They say inactivity sometimes does you good. I found out that's not true. I was off a year and 9 months, and when I got back in the ring with a young Mike Tyson, that really hurt me. So I don't think that's going to help Michael Spinks at all.
Okay, let's talk about the champ, Mike Tyson. He's had a few distractions in recent past. Will that be a factor there?
I don't think so, Ray, because he's young enough to overcome all of that. He don't really realize he has problems. The guy is rich, he's young, and he see a pot of gold ahead. So I don't really think he's going to have that much of a problem overcoming that.
Well, thank you, champ. But before you go, you must give me a prediction. Who's going to win the fight on June 27th?
Well, I have to say like this, Ray. I think this will sum it all up. Spinks jinx, there's nothing to it. The whole world knows he won't do it. He'll run around the ring for a few rounds, but Mike Tyson will run him down.
So your prediction is Mike Tyson by knockout?
Yes, by knockout.
Thanks, Larry.
You got it.
All right, champ.
Who's going to win the fight and why? Tyson. And let me tell you something. Don't go away for that first round. Don't buy a Coke and don't buy a hot dog because you're liable to miss the stroke because it's going to be a knockout.
Fight experts are a dime a dozen and worth every penny. And we've impaneled 4 cents worth right here with Ray Leonard, fresh from his outing with Larry Holmes, Richie Giacchetti, the former trainer of Larry Holmes, and Mike Katz, the boxing writer for the New York Daily News. Mike, for months now, people have been coming up to me in the street, in airports, calling me on the freeway in cars. Does Mike Spinks have a chance? Does Michael Spinks have a chance?
I just don't see it. Of course, anybody has a chance who can punch. The question really comes down to whether or not Michael Spinks can hurt Mike Tyson. I don't think Spinks was a great puncher as a light heavyweight. I'm not sure that Mike Tyson has the best chin in the world. He doesn't have a Muhammad Ali chin, but he doesn't have an Ernie Shavers chin either. I think the question will be if Spinks can't keep Tyson off with his bad legs, then he's not going to be able to get away, and he has no chance.
Richie, fights usually come down to who can hurt who more. What do you think of Spinks' chin and his punching power?
Michael Spinks, when he fought Larry even 2 times, Larry never come back one time and complained about it. He was hurt at all. And many times I asked, come back in the corner, I said, is the guy doing anything to you? He said, he's hitting me, but he's not hurting me. So I said, well, then put the pressure on him. I mean, what are you backing off? Keep, just go walk through him. But he's got a style that's so unorthodox that he's so hard to hit, and then he throws these funny punches from all different angles that, he's like an Aaron Pryor or even Mike Tyson. The different angles is what's confusion that, the guy's straight up on you. But can Michael Spinks hurt Mike Tyson? I don't think so. I don't think he can hurt him enough to put him out, but like Mike Kat says, is his chin is still questionable to me. Is it like Ali Frazier, Ali Norton, Foreman in Norton, Larry Holmes in Norton, Larry Holmes and Spinks, and not Spinks, but Shavers. Can he take that punch? Is it a war? I hit you, you hit me, back and forth, boom, boom, boom. Can Mike Tyson take that? This is what that Michael Spinks has to do. If he runs from him, it's going to be a dogfight.
Ray, I've read where you give Spinks a 50-50 chance to win. You've known Spinks since the '76 Olympics. He must have stuff in him to keep winning 12 years without a defeat. That has to be taken into account in a fight like this.
Larry, the reason I look forward to a great fight is because Michael Spinks is a clever boxer. It's not a matter of having to punch to hurt a Mike Tyson, because his main objective should be to outpoint him, not try to knock him out. The key to winning for Michael Spinks is to nullify and to break the rhythm of Mike Tyson, to give him angles, tie him up, not let him get his punches off, to frustrate him. It has to be similar to my fight with Hagler. I'm not a big puncher, but I went into the ring with one thought in mind, to outpoint, to outscore.
But Mike Tyson appears to be almost like a natural force, the way he comes at you. He's not going to give you a chance to just stand around and box at the pace you want to box at. Don't you have to hit him with something to hold him off?
You got to sting him. You got to break his rhythm. Michael Spinks, because he's so unorthodox, he punches with angles, he does things that are not really in the book. But I think he has the physical attributes, the height, the good jab, and not really good foot movement, but he gives you something that is not expected. Whether he moves to the right, left, back, forward.
There's a kind of intuitive sense I get from watching him about the distance between the fighters, when to jump in, when not to jump in. There's just something going on in his mind and his intuition about an opponent that is unusual.
He has a natural instinct to get the proper distance. He knows where to be at the right time. And like you say, you really don't know what he's doing, but he's doing it right. You know, and so it's hard to figure out. Like Ray said, when you're training a guy to fight this guy, you're saying, what do I really do with it? Because he don't know what he's doing, so how can you figure him out?
I think Michael, though, is a very limited right now physically fighter. I think he doesn't have the great legs anymore. He never really did have great legs. He used to run in parachute boots on concrete, and you know, his knees are gone. I don't think he has the mobility to get away from Tyson. I don't think his height is going to be an advantage. In fact, I think it's going to be a disadvantage. If you look back at Michael Spinks' career, every time he's fought a short fighter, like Mike Tyson, he has had problems. He had problems with Braxton, or Coetzee, whatever his name is. He had trouble with the club fighter named Willie the Bull Taylor. He just seems unable to punch down.
This fight could have been made a year ago for less money.
Right.
But would Spinks have had a better chance then?
Indubitably. Mike Tyson, a year ago, is not the same fighter that he is now. And Michael Spinks was a year younger.
Richie, you've dealt with fighters all of your life. We have a fighter now with turmoil going on around him and his management. Can that really get to a young fighter, or is he really oblivious?
I don't think he is oblivious to the whole thing, because the fact is, most of the fighters, like all the way back to Esteban de Jesus, Aaron Pryor, and even Larry, they say the problems don't bother them, but everybody who's going to come around is going to ask them, what is your problem? Now that Jim Jacobs is gone, what is the problem with Bill Clayton? Is Don King coming in? Who's the promoter in the fight? Who's this? They're going to ask a million questions. So it does play on your mind. Now, as a major part in the camp is to keep all this turmoil down so it does not bother Mike Tyson.
As a reporter, are you going to be more interested in this human story, this incredible story, rather than the tactics of the fight?
Of course. I mean, I think that's what the readers want. It's soap opera. We are appealing not only to boxing fans, we're appealing to the soap opera fans.
You had one management all your career, Ray. Did that give you a sense of, well, that's something I don't have to worry about, just take care of the boxing? Is this something you sense could affect Tyson?
Yes, Larry, because a boxer's mind is very intricate and very delicate electrical system. And once there's one fuse that's blown, throws everything out of wax.
Quickly, your predictions.
Without changing my mind this time, Mike Tyson.
You picked Ray last time and then changed it. Okay.
All right, I picked in 5 rounds Mike Tyson. The only way that Spinks has a chance, he has to keep away from him.
I like Tyson early, like rounds 6, 7. Then I like Spinks because Spinks has time.
You have to pick one, though, Ray. Pick one.
Like Mike Tyson early, I like Michael Spinks later.
Thank you, gentlemen. You were worth every penny of our investment. Finally, this from my ringside seat at the circus. Michael Spinks is a terrific fighter, surely one of the best light heavyweights ever. But in Mike Tyson, he's going up against every boxer's nightmare. A brawler who is not only stronger, but faster. And like Spinks, Tyson is a winner. If he isn't totally distracted by the storm around him, he'll win by a knockout, probably early, because youth does tend to outrun and outpunch its mistakes. For Jim Lampley and Ray Leonard, I hope you've enjoyed this sideshow to the main event.
going to be exciting to me. It's going to be a very nervous night for me. But everyone knows that this is one that must happen.
I'm sure if everyone comes, this will be something you'll never, ever forget for a long time. And again, I don't have much to say. See you at the fight.
This has been a presentation of HBO Sports.
Had on Leon Spinks.
That's very true. Then again, we'll also see if Coetzee can punch. Because if he cannot punch, he cannot keep Leon Spinks away.
Coetzee is 21-0, 11 knockouts, never beaten. And by the way, Cali Coetzee, and there's a lot of confusion between the two South Africans. The man who lost to Tate a couple of weeks ago, this man, Coetzee, has defeated him 3 times, twice by knockout as an amateur and as a decision winner as a pro. Anxious to see just how good he is. He might be a lot better than Spinks and a lot of other Americans think.
Well, time will tell.
Scheduled for 12 rounds, again, sanctioned by the WBA. The winner of this one most likely will meet John Tate for the vacated WBA heavyweight championship. Neither man has been down as a pro. The great outdoors of Monte Carlo on a beautiful 80-degree evening. Spinks comes right out as you predicted on the attack.
Right now, he's definitely in the action, and he's doing what he has to do.
Coetzee is terribly wild on those right hands, and we have not seen that lateral quickness of foot that we were promised from the South Africans. In the blue trunks with the gold trim, Leon Spinks, United States on the right. He came out as if he was looking for a quick knockout. He kind of reminded me of the way he went after Bobic.
Leon definitely got hard. Oh, good start. Spinks goes down for the first time as a pro. He's hit and wobbly. Leon Spinks up at the count of 6, 7, 8.
And right back comes Coetzee. Another good right hand. Down for the second time, 3 knockouts. Rule will be observed in this championship fight, elimination championship fight. Spinks, if he goes down again, it's all over. He cannot be saved by the bell. It's all over. Amazing upset. Gerrie Coetzee of South Africa has knocked out Leon Spinks in the first round. Look at those South Africans across the way. An unbelievable upset and pandemonium in the corner of Gerrie Coetzee. We're going to try the first big punch.
I think it was the right hand. It is.
Were you surprised when he came out at the opening bell with that left and right flurry?
I was expecting that because Jen always comes out first.
Did you think that you would be able to handle him this easily?
No, I didn't expect that, but I knew I was in great shape, and I worked hard for this.
It's the biggest win of your career. Obviously, your countryman lost to John Tate, the American, by knockout, and it means that you now probably will meet John Tate for the WBA Heavyweight Championship. What are your feelings?
I'm looking forward to that fight. First, what I want to say, I want to thank Leon Spinks and Mr. Bob Allen for giving me the opportunity to fight against Leon Spinks. Because if I was allowed in the Olympic Games, I would have been the gold medal there. So I am really, and I mean it out of the deep of my heart, that I'm thankful for Leon Spinks giving me this opportunity to show to myself, to the world, that I'm going to be the best heavyweight.
All right.
America's Zora Folley. London, 14th of October, 1958.
And at stake is a chance for Henry Cooper to fight for the world heavyweight title against Floyd Patterson if tonight he can beat Zora Folley, the man from Arizona, the man that America claims is the legitimate challenger to Floyd Patterson. It's Cooper on the left. He's about 2 inches taller, this blonde man from Bellingham in Kent. 2 inches taller, but he's giving away 9.5 pounds to Zora Folley. Folley not very tall, but he's massively built, well muscled, particularly around the arms and legs. But in this first round, it looks very much as though Folley is, in fact, a worthy contender for the world heavyweight title, because he's moving fast and he's moving sharply. And he's beating Cooper to the punch with the left hand. Watch those stinging left jabs and those beautiful follow-up rights from Zora Folley. Cooper a little bit out of distance with the left hand. Folley looks really good and classy in the opening stages of this contest. And Folley obviously has heard about Cooper's left hook, because you'll notice that always he's moving around to his own left hand. He's edging away to the left to keep away from Cooper's left hand. And he's keeping plenty of distance between himself, except when he chooses to go in. He's not letting Cooper really get to work with the left hook or the left jab. Folley very clever at tying his man up inside, and he comes out best in these clinches. And here's Cooper back to his corner, and we're all saying at the ringside now, has Cooper bitten off more than he can chew? They come out for the third. Cooper on the right, taller, blonde, worried possibly about the left eye, because it's the left eye that invariably gets cut when he fights. And Folley knows this, and he's trying to cut that right eye, that left eye. Do you see how he put that right across there? Cooper must try and protect this left eye of his, because it really is vulnerable. And once that goes, it's a terrible handicap against a man of Folley's class. Nice left counter from Henry Cooper, one of the few good punches so far that he's put in this third round. Whenever he gets the chance, Folley is stabbing away at Cooper's left eye. And there's a punch, and that punch opens Cooper's left eye. It's bleeding now. It's bleeding above and below. In this third round, 4 good rights from Folley, and Cooper is on the floor. He's on one knee. He's not badly hurt, but he's dazed. He's taking a rest. He comes up at 8, and Cooper is in trouble, bleeding from above and below the eye. He's got to watch Folley's right. 4 of those went in that time, and the last one put Cooper down. Cooper at bay. Here's a picture of a man at bay. The Englishman in desperate trouble as Folley comes forward. But at this crucial stage of the fight, when Folley should be going all out, look at this American, the man they say is number 2 in the world. He's not really got the killer instinct. He's not going to Cooper and really punishing him as he should be. He's got the chance to win in this third round, but he's not following it up. Well, there's the end of the third, and you can see that Cooper was let right off the hook. Folley almost had him at his mercy, and then let him go. It's been amazing the way that Folley has faded out in this fight, because he made such a promising start, and he really has tailed off now. He's not half the man he was. For a man who's had twice the experience of Cooper and has met some very tough opponents, and has beaten Nino Valdez, the scourge of English heavyweights, Folley is at the moment a disappointment. But not a disappointment for Cooper, because Cooper now is really getting on top. And although I don't make him in front yet, that lead is really being narrowed right down. And now we're in the 9th round. And at the beginning of this round, I only made Folley a quarter of a point ahead. So Henry Cooper is right in the fight with a chance to win, and the whole of Wembley knows it. Cooper being pushed to the ropes there more than a punch, but Cooper still impressively jabbing away with the left hand at every opportunity, poking it all the time. It's not into Folley's face. Folley gets a warning for rubbing his head up against Cooper's eye, and Cooper's eye now, which has been terribly well patched up by his corner, has begun to bleed quite copiously again as Folley rubs his head against it in the clinches. But Cooper is undismayed and undisturbed. He's boxing the right way. He's outboxing and out-jabbing Zora Folley, the number 2 in the world. Beautiful left hands all the time from Folley's face. Not much variety about it, but you don't need variety if you're doing well with one particular punch, and Henry Cooper is doing well with his left jab. There's the end of the ninth, and you can see that Cooper probably didn't hear the bell because there's so much noise being made here at Wembley, and he wants to carry on the fight against Zora Folley. They come out for the 10th now, and I've got them exactly level on points. It's all on the last round, and Wembley Pool, 10,000 people here in Wembley Pool know that everything depends on the last round, and they're cheering Cooper to go in now. This is the last round. Here's the chance coming now for him to fight Floyd Patterson. If he can win this round, he's probably won the fight, and they want Cooper to go in now. Never mind about the cut eye, never mind about Zora Folley's right hand. Go in, Cooper, go in and win. Cooper with his back to us, still jabbing away with the left hand, giving it everything he's got. Look at that tame left lead from Folley. He hasn't got much spirit left, but Cooper has. Cooper carrying the fight here, pushing Folley to the ropes above it. People are going mad with excitement all around me and behind me. Standing toe-to-toe now, Henry Cooper with Zora Folley. Look at this effort he's putting in at the finish here. That cloud of smoke coming up over the ring, it's almost as though explosions are taking place in the ring, and they are, because Cooper now doesn't care about anything, he just wants to win. And he's standing there absolutely toe-to-toe, and he's going to slug it out for the final bell. And there is the final bell, and Henry Cooper has won. He's won it on that last desperate round. Henry Cooper wins and gets his chance to fight Floyd Patterson for the world title.
An unbelievable one, 26 victories, all 26 by knockout, only one defeat. He's the number 4 ranked heavyweight in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, Alex, the Destroyer Stewart. And fighting out of the red corner, wearing the solid black trunks, weighing 217 3/4 pounds. From Catskill, New York, also an unbelievable record, 38 victories, 34 by KO, only one defeat. He's the number 1 ranked heavyweight in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, the former heavyweight champion of the world, Iron Mike Tyson.
You're both given your instructions by the New Jersey Control Board. Protect yourself at all times. Like you, baby. Both touch gloves. Come on, come on. Come on, baby. That's right, baby.
The question, as in all Tyson fights, can the opponent maintain his poise in the face of Tyson's quickness and menace? Or will he retreat
Stay in the corner, Alex.
into self-defense?
Stay in the corner, Michael.
Stewart has stated categorically that he knows he needs to keep throwing punches to try to keep Tyson occupied. If he stops throwing, he'll be dead. Tyson lands a right and another. This could be quick.
I was afraid of a 30-second soundbite.
All right, man? Okay, let's go.
Remember, Stewart never went down against Evander Holyfield. Shot to the body, another solid right hand. Stewart begins to throw as a means of trying to defend himself. That'll be called a slip. And Mike is a little wild as he goes for the kill.
A good right hand that hurt Stewart again, but Stewart is still upright.
That was a flush right hand.
He's up just at the count of 9, Jim.
How you feel, man?
Taking a good look is Cappuccino. He's going to let him go. 3 knockdown rule is in effect. If Stewart goes down again, it's over. And Stewart has quick throwing punches. You can see how wobbly his legs are. If he makes it through a minute and 20, it'll be a small miracle.
Let him go, come on. Stop punching.
That was a worthwhile grab. Tyson missed with a left that would have done it.
He's very calculating now, Tyson.
2 more right hands land.
All right, Alex, let him out, Alex.
Stewart must land something or else it's just a question of a few seconds.
That'll do it.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
They're forgetting that the 3 knockdown rule is in effect. This fight is over.
Well, Stewart said that Tyson was a mountain he had to climb. He just got knocked off that mountain. He just didn't have the style, Jim, unlike Douglas, to test the vulnerability of Tyson.
Yeah, he's not nearly the technician that Douglas was when Douglas was good in Tokyo.
Early in the fight, Douglas tied Tyson up. He used his jab. He survived and then and determined the pace of the fight.
Nothing about him. You stay right there for a minute. Let me take a look here. Got fought in the early fight. The first fight, first punch. You know how many times you got knocked down?
3 times.
3 times. The first time, right? You remember the first one?
Yes.
Yep. Okay. Now, do you think you can stand up now? Stand up for me. Put your feet together as you stand up. Put your feet. No, I'm just holding you to see if you're going to fall. Put your feet together. Let him go. Let him go. Let him go. Let him go. Okay, let him go.
And here's the first of the 3 knockdowns. You look at Tyson moving in with controlled fury, and the right hand puts Stewart down. Stewart was able to get up at the count of 5. Now we'll take a look. Is this the first knockdown again? Yes, it is. Another angle.
The winner.
The right hand to the top of the head was the one that put Alex down. That knockdown occurred